At Progressive, you can get 24/7 protection, even if you break the space-time continuum.
We did it! We time traveled to yesterday!
Wait, Progressive covers us 24/7, but we just created an 8-day week, and it's 24/7 coverage, not 24/8. We gotta go back.
Are you joking right now?
Shh, I'm calling them. Hi, I have a question about time travel.
Progressive offers more than a great price when you bundle home and auto. We offer round-the-clock protection, which literally means anytime. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers, and subject to policy terms. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
The fucking sun sucks. I don't know what you people see in the sun. I don't know how you people do the sun. It's just the dirt worst. I want nothing to do with it. I'd be content never going out in the sun again.
And Rich Crage.
This is the dumbest show. I cannot believe it. These people some people pay us $10 to listen to the show live. This is what we give them for 45 minutes.
Been doing this for 10 years. Why?
We're bigger than ever. More people listen to us than ever.
Why?
And we are live here on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich. He is Joe. Joe, what's happening?
How are you?
I'm not too bad. Not too bad. Doing okay.
I meant it that time because we didn't talk before the show.
Yeah, this was a rare, just like, hey, let's just business as usual type of show start for us here. But yeah, I'm doing okay. Doing not bad.
Well, I was late, and then...
Yes, I am Rich. He is Joe.
What is happening here? Oh,
playing in the back, professional.
Forgot to turn my audio off.
Yeah, I could tell. I know. I could hear.
That came through?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, it's always been a professional operation around here. I don't know why any of that would change now. Right. 11 years on.
Yeah, we're doing it 11 years, and why change now? So,
yeah, it's part of the charm, I suppose. But yeah, it's one of these Wednesday shows, so I lose track of time, and I show up late, and then I hop in, and there's literally 0 people in the chat room waiting to listen anyway, live, and it's this pesky Dynamite always getting in the way. I don't know why these people prioritize Dynamite over the live Flagship.
Yeah, especially this week's Dynamite. I mean, yeah, sure, you got Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho and like a barbed wire match and shark cages and stuff. But I mean, come on, that's not going to be in the first hour. What are you watching AEW Dynamite for in this first hour when you got us and this great conversation and audio playing twice because it's coming through on a computer and a phone at the same time? When you have that and you're going to choose Dynamite, I mean, I don't get it. So there was a while there. There was a brief time where we would put a dent in Dynamite ratings, but I don't know what's happening as of late. But it seems that people are, when we do these Wednesday night shows, they tend to prioritize Dynamite over us, which is, I don't know. I don't get it. You can DVR that. You can DVR Dynamite, watch it later. This is, yeah, sure, it's available on podcast apps for free and elsewhere immediately after, but there's something about live radio that you just can't replicate on television. I don't know what I'm talking about. So,
who is this? Is that Rock Hard Juice Robinson?
That's Juice Robinson. Yeah.
In like the shadowy depths of the YouTube thumbnail.
Yeah.
Is that what?
Yeah, I found a very engaging photo of one Rock Hard Juice Robinson, and I was like, yeah, that'll be good. That's a good one. Big faces, big boisterous faces. That tends to work pretty well for the thumbnails. So I saw old Rock Hard, decided that'd be perfect.
I thought it was Brian Pillman at first. I couldn't figure out who it was.
Kind of, honestly, it does look like 1997 WWF Brian Pillman, who can't wrestle because his foot's still nearly amputated from his Humvee accident, so he's just out there cutting promos in his vest. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Rock Hard Juice Robinson does take a lot from Brian Pillman, loose cannon era Brian Pillman for sure.
A lot of people take a lot from loose cannon era Brian Pillman over the last
I was going to say over the last couple of months,
or
the last couple of months in particular, people have been deciding that there are aspects of the loose cannon character that they've been taken after. So
yeah, very often duplicated or attempted to be duplicated. The loose cannon Brian Pillman to varying levels of success, embarrassment, cringe, but he's still one of the most copied wrestlers to this day. What do we got here? We got G1.
We're gonna go to Japan. We got G1. We're gonna get in touch with the G1. Talk about night 1, night 2. I guess we have to talk about night 3. I don't really want to. Night 3 was.
Did you watch night 3?
I just before we got on recording finished night 3, and I kind of wish I didn't.
I'm very sorry you did that.
It's one of these, and I'm going to talk about when we talk about the G1, but you always reach a moment in a G1 where when you look at a show, when you look at matches and go, you know what, I don't need to watch this. I can skip this and my life will be okay. Early days of the G1, you're like, no. Everybody every new G1 that starts, and all right, everybody watches night 1, every single match in night 1, everybody watches all of night 2, every match in night 2, and then, you're like, all right, we got a good rhythm here. And then sometime down the line, there's going to be a night, whether it's a night 7 or a night 8, where you're watching it and you're going, I don't need to watch this. This is not essential. My life is okay as long as if I skip a Yujiro Takahashi David Finlay match, but you say, no, it's only night 3. I should have listened to my own brain and looked at this card and said, you know what, you don't have to watch this. You can maybe check in on Goto and Naito. The rest of the stuff you can absolutely let go. And no, I did not. I watched all those matches, and now I now realize moving forward in the G1 that if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck and it looks like a horrendous matchup between a wrestler you have no interest in, it's probably going to be a horrendous match with the wrestler you're not interested in. So yeah,
we've got Noah Destination to talk about, and you almost forget that there was a GHC heavyweight title change on this show because all of the talk is centering around the final Keiji Mutoh versus Kaito Kiyomia match, which I know I have very strong opinions on.
I know you've had strong takes about it all week after you watch it, and then I saw some of your ratings for these matches, and boy, do you have strong takes on this match, and I am excited to talk about it because I'm not as strong, but I am. We do agree about one central theme of that entire match, and I can't wait to kind of dissect and dig into that because stuff happened in that match for sure, and it needs to be talked about. It needs to be addressed. So yeah, that's there. ROH Death Before Dishonor is this weekend. Came up so quick. It felt like so long ago that we're waiting. Hey, when's that first Tony Khan Ring of Honor show going to happen? It's here. ROH Death Before Dishonor is here this weekend from Lowell, Mass. Looks like a really good card. Looks like a kick-ass card. I'm really excited to check that one out. And then I never wanted to, and I think you and I talked about this off air, but when the idea was floated by Conrad that he was going to do Ric Flair's last match, I think you and I just said, like, we're not going to talk about this, right? Like, we don't care, because we thought it was going to be just some weird fight TV event where Ric Flair does something, and it's like, I don't care, you don't care. We were just going to skip it. Well, then they went and booked like a really, really fun, good card. So, unfortunately, we do have to talk about that entire card. That is not until the following weekend. That is not until the 31st. But there's a lot going on next week, so we thought it might be worth it to touch on that today on today's show. So we'll break down the card of Ric Flair's last match, which is a loaded, really fun-looking card. The least of which, of course, is the main event, which I don't know that I'm looking forward to seeing Ric Flair wrestling. What I believe is his either 4th or 5th last match. What would you put this on last match count? Because there was Halloween Havoc 1994, I think, was his last match, right? He retired forever after he lost to Hulk Hogan. Then, obviously, WrestleMania 24, that counts. And the TNA match, that was your match of the week this week, was his other last match ever. So we're at, I think this would be his 4th, but maybe I'm missing one or two in between. I don't know. Maybe there was one in the 2000s that I don't remember when Vince Russo was booking or something. So
I would count this as Ric Flair's final match number 4. I would call it number 4.
Like advertised, well known in advance. This is it. He's done. He's never wrestling again. But yeah, hopefully the final one. Hopefully the final one. if God help us, the final one. But before we get into that, though, I did want to touch on something real quick. Today, on the Chicago Sports Radio airwaves, there was a 670 The Score, which is my local sports radio show, our channel. We have two. We have ESPN 1000, which obviously ESPN owned it. Then we have 670 The Score, and those have been two juggernauts of Chicago sports radio near me for many, many years. Well, The Score celebrated their 30th anniversary today, 30 years of doing sports radio in Chicago, which to me, first off, does that not seem like that long ago, that like the idea of sport, like, and they were the first one in Chicago to say, hey, we're going to have a radio station that only talks about sports. And that was 30 years ago that they did. Doesn't that feel like that should have been a lot longer ago than 30 years? But sports radio is not that old. It really isn't.
Well, WFAN in New York hit the air in 89, I think.
Okay, so a couple years before.
Yeah, I think...
This would have been 92 for the score.
Yeah, I think a bunch of them cropped up right around that time. But yeah, even if you go back to 89, that's still, 30...
I was told there'd be no math.
33 years?
33, I believe you're 33 years, yes.
33 years, which again doesn't... I question my math because it doesn't seem
it's and that's I had the same thing today as I was thinking about this. Like, wait a minute, only 30 years ago that like sports radio became a thing, and it's kind of wild given like everything that's happened in the last 30 years. And the idea of like, hey, we're going to turn on a transmitter and then we're only going to talk about, sports on this radio transmission, to now fast forwarding 30 years later, and it's like the idea of radio in of itself is like passe, and like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Like, all that sort of stuff. But the real reason I wanted to touch on this is I
looked at just for posterity because it'll bother me. It was actually 87.
87. Well, okay, they were a little ahead of the game there. I mean,
point stand.
Obviously, New York.
5 years.
Yeah, obviously New York being so important to and sports being so important in New York. That's pretty awesome. But the reason I bring this up is and we've talked about it before. Like one of the big reasons we talked about it in our 10th anniversary show, one of the big things that made us do this show, and a big reason why I think this show exists in the form it does, and the big reason why the format of the show is the way it is, and how I think a lot of people have enjoyed us over these last 10, 11 years or whatever, is because nothing we're doing, I would say, is super, super original in the sense. I think we maybe do wrestling podcasts a lot different than a lot of other people do, quote unquote wrestling podcasts. But I did want to take a little bit of a moment because people always say, hey, what inspired you? How do you guys do this? Why do you guys do this? Why do you guys do all that sort of stuff? And listening to this, 30th anniversary of the score, it was like, well, that's why I was raised. I was a dork that, when I was 7 years old, I was listening to radio on, sports on the radio all day, every day. Every day in the summer, I would just wake up and turn on sports radio. All night, I would have the radio on, listening to sports on the radio. When I was in college, in high school, I would come home and listen to sports on the radio. When I was in working, I would go to work and throw on my headphones and listen to sports on the radio or whatever. And I don't do that nearly as much, obviously, with podcasts and all that other stuff. But and I think you have a very similar thing as well, where like, a lot of people say, why do you, how do I be? It's always, I don't know if you've ever gotten this like in the wild, where people will stop you and be like, well, why are you guys so successful? I'm like, we're not successful at all. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I still punch a clock into like my job. Like I'm always taken aback when people are like, how do I be as successful as you guys? And I'm like, I don't know that we are. Like, I don't know that I would give you advice, or I'd feel comfortable giving you advice, because like, I don't think that I'm successful. I think we've done a pretty good job over the last 10, 11 years. I don't know that I would consider it, successful in that same way. The same, I
gotta tell you are something else. You
successful? I would call myself successful.
You're so anxious, and you're so you just downplay yourself all the time, and I don't know what your deal is, man. This is a great show, and it is very successful, and that's why you get asked that question. Look at the bevy of wrestling podcasts that come and go. And I'm not even just talking about Blade Job and Chair Shot style shows. Those all stink, and everybody knows it. But even with big names who try to do this and flame out within a matter of, every time, an ex-wrestler or an ex-wrestling personality starts a podcast, what's the first thing you and I do? We set an over-under on total episodes.
Yep. We have them all in the DMs of, okay, how many episodes for this insert Attitude Era guy that's now going to have a podcast.
Hey, Rich, Terry Runnels is starting a podcast. I'm going to go with 13 and a half episodes. You got the over or the under? We've done that a billion times. Most of these shows stink. Most of them don't last. Most people don't understand the grind. Most of them don't generate any money whatsoever. And, there's a reason you get to go on all these lavish vacations, sir. Don't downplay yourself here. We do a nice little job here. The Patreon is very successful. We've got shockingly tons of people that want to pay to hear more of us. We've got big ticket sponsors for like 7-8 years now. So at least in the very, very niche wrestling podcast genre, I would classify this show as very successful. I would use the word very.
There you go. But when people...
Rich, of course, Rich always shits on himself. Rich never thinks he's doing good enough.
No.
Rich, and it's not like, and he's not one of these guys who thinks he's not doing good enough because he's super motivated, man. He's like, nothing's ever good enough. You know, good is the enemy of great. Like, he's not one of those kind of guys. He just genuinely thinks he sucks. And I don't understand it. You do a nice job here. We do. And you know, one of the things that always it comes to mind when people do ask me that question, I do answer it. And the one thing I say is that, you know, don't listen to podcasts. I don't think podcasts podcasts are a whole different medium and a whole different channel. And a lot of people tackle podcasts in a very, very, very different way. Some people do them, I don't know the best way to describe it, but a lot of them are boring as fuck, is probably the best way to say it, where there's no engagement, there's no back and forth, there's no energy. It's just two people start talking or four people start talking, and then they talk about stuff, and then it's over, and it's like, why would I ever listen to the show ever again? What am I doing? What are you doing to make me come back? Like, it's but people think, oh, I'm doing a podcast, I'm on a podcast, I'm talking on a podcast or whatever. And what I always tell people when they say, you know, what do I do? You know, how can I get better at it? Yada, yada, yada. I say, well, the reason I think that Joe and I are as good as we are, and I do honestly, you know, I say that in the way that I say it, you know, where I also degrade ourselves when I say self-deprecating.
Right, like I don't actually take credit for us being good. I just say, you know, some people say we're good because, you know, instead of like, you know, me saying it. But and I've always said it's because, and you can speak to this too, like, we grew up on sports radio, and sports radio is a completely different thing than podcasts. And you can tell the wrestling podcasts, and you can tell the podcast personalities, and you can tell, and this is sports, this is wrestling, this is everything. You can tell the people who were raised on sports radio and who get sports radio and understand what sports radio is. And then you can understand the people who grew up listening to podcasts or don't listen to anything, and they just know, oh, I do a podcast. Okay. You know, yeah, you get on the air, yeah, you have some sort of platform or whatever, but like, you know, the preparation for the show, we do very little. Today is a perfect example of the preparation we do for this show. Joe gets on the air, I say, hey, how's it going? You say, I'm fine. You? I go, yeah, okay. I say, G1, Noah, Ric Flair last match, ROH, and you go, yeah, okay, all right, let's do it. And we're on, and that's it. That's the entire preparation for the entire show. When the day started, I said, Joe, here's the topics I want to talk about. What do you want to talk about? That'll sound good to me. Okay, boom, boom, boom. That's it. That's all the prep we do. But I think that you and I have been prepping to do something like this, even if it wasn't you and me, even if it wasn't just, you know, Joe and Rich, even if it wasn't wrestling or whatever. But by listening to sports radio as long as we have, we've always kind of been studying and understanding the game and getting audio and understanding conversation, doing all that sort of stuff. And when I was listening to the 30th anniversary, it kind of hit me again, like, yes, this is what I think separates us from a lot of other wrestling podcasts. And people always do say, well, yeah, you guys are like, you guys do this better than other podcasts. You guys do this better than other podcasts. The reason I listen to you guys is this. And I feel bad thinking that we're some visionaries or some, like, because it's like, no, we just kind of do what sports radio does. Like, I do a lot of what Boers and Bernstein did in Chicago. That was the show that I grew up on. That was my formative years as a sports radio fan, was Boers and Bernstein. You have Mike and the Mad Dog. You have some other shows as well that like really kind of made, but like those, we're not doing anything that's that dramatically different from what those guys did. But I think it's kind of funny that so few other podcasts, especially in the wrestling world, follow that model as well and just go with the either I'm going to interview an old, you know, Attitude Era person, or we're just going to get on here and mumble about nonsense for an hour and then leave. You know, or we're going to review a show in the most dry, dull way possible. And it's like, yeah,
hey, some of those shows are actually successful somehow.
I know. I don't get it.
I'm going to leave that one alone. Yes. We're not going to name names, but you know.
All right, yeah, we're not getting that. We're not getting that dirty today. But yeah, no, I was just listening to that, and I actually kind of wanted you to you know, chime in on that as well, because I think we touched on it a little bit in our 10th anniversary show, but I do think that's an important part of what made us is that we were both, you know, children of major city sports radio.
Yeah, I was raised on that. I mean, you know, I do so many intentional nods to Mike and the Mad Dog that I'm almost ripping them off. I mean, I do these I do so many like little mini Easter egg tributes and nods to both of those guys. And I'm sure the more you've been exposed now that Mad Dog's kind of a national figure.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I pick up on a lot of them now that I didn't a couple years ago, for sure.
And Mike has become a meme there, where it's like now you're probably like picking up on them, like you just said, more than you were in the beginning, where, I'm doing basically tributes to both of those guys that I work in there, whether it's a turn of phrase or whatever. And that's kind of like a little nod to the other people listening to me who are aware of them. And, it's kind of like that's what I'm doing with that. But yeah, I grew up on that. So, you're right. I don't think there were a lot of wrestling podcasts that were doing it in with that style. So I think that does make us feel different. I don't think this show is for everyone. I mean, it's clearly not for everyone. That style of radio isn't for everyone. No. I don't think, it's the one thing we don't do is delve into hot take for the sake of hot take territory. That's derivative and hacky. I don't think we do that. It's funny because over the years I've seen people say that we do that, and I know that they don't listen because we don't do that.
Right.
We've never done that. Like I've seen people criticize us in that way, and then I'm like, oh, they've never listened.
Right.
For more than 5 minutes.
Or they just don't understand. But we tell people all the time, everything you hear on the show is 100% my thoughts. I don't give a shit if it's not popular. I don't give a shit if it's not a good, if it's a take that everybody disagrees with. I don't care if it's a take that everybody agrees with. And it's like, boring when I'm like, hey, this guy's good. And everyone's like, well, yeah, everybody knows he's good. But like, say something else. No, if I'm just going to tell you what I think, I don't sugarcoat it. And you're the same way. And I think I got that a lot from, they did a big, long segment kind of with Boris and Bernstein, reuniting them or whatever in Chicago. And one of the things that they were talking about, and it just struck a chord again with me. And it's like, yes, that's exactly what we do. And that's why I'm inspired by those guys so much is they went on there and said, the thing that made us, somebody said, well, what made you guys, you? And they just said, well, we're just us. We're just us. We're not liars. We're not characters. We don't make up things in our head. We just got on the air for X amount of hours every single day and just were us and just talked sports and talked life and just talked stuff and never felt that we had to play a character, never felt that we had to take a certain line on something or we had to take a certain opinion on something. We just hit start and then we just were us for hours, and then that made people trust them and that made people listen to them because they weren't characters. They weren't your Stephen A. Smiths of the world. They weren't your ESPN first takes of the world or whatever. They were just guys that talked. And yeah, maybe they weren't always the most exciting opinions because sometimes the what you think isn't the hottest take or the most interesting thing, but it's like, well, that's how you build that trust that what I'm listening to is the organic thing. What I'm listening to is the real deal. And yeah, anybody that thinks we come onto this air and we manipulate, oh, Joe, I'm going to say that this guy sucks today. Yeah. And like, you're going to say he's good. And then we're going to argue about that. Like, we don't argue that much on this show. We do sometimes. And that's, again, not like us trying to agree on everything. It's just, it's how we kind of became friends in this world as we would, agree on a lot of wrestling stuff. And that's kind of where we are today. But yeah, we don't force arguments. We don't force opinions and we don't force debates. We're just us. And I think that's an important part. And yeah, when they were talking about that today, it kind of hit me of like, yeah, we always touch on that a little bit, but I wanted to at least, bring that up again that, yeah, that makes sense why my, idols in the radio world are the same way. They're just like, yeah, we just hit record and talk, about shit for 3 or 4 hours.
You still have to be compelling and have strong opinions and,
and that comes from, that's why we're doing this show. And that's, again, why I'm not naming any names or whatever, but it feels like a lot of people have a podcast because you're supposed to have a podcast. I think you and I do this because we think that we're pretty interesting and entertaining people that have strong thoughts about stuff. We have strong thoughts about wrestling. A lot of people don't. And if you don't have strong thoughts about something, what are you doing?
Yeah, you got to have strong opinions and you can't be afraid to let it fly either. And I think a lot of people like this show because they know that we're not going to sugarcoat anything. And, even if that means we get an angry DM from somebody who thinks that we're talking shit on them or not respecting their work or whatever. I mean, we've never cared about that. I mean, if people aren't going to like us, I can't do an honest show if I'm worried about whether wrestlers and promoters are going to like me or not. I can't do an honest show that way. I just have to give my real opinion, and just assume that they're going to hear it. Just assume they're going to hear it and don't be afraid and just let it fly. And I think that was a little different too than than what people were used to. Because there are a lot of podcasts that are tied to certain sites and whatnot, and they they have to sugarcoat some things or not have super strong opinions because they can't. There's none of that here. So, and there's probably way less drama when it comes to that than people think. But, we've occasionally run into some situations where people have gotten annoyed with us. But, who cares?
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
I mean, that's my role in this ecosystem is to be a critic. And, that's as long I can sleep at night if I know I'm being fair. And I know that I'm always fair, and that my opinions are coming from a good place. So, yeah, I don't know. I didn't know we were going to stroke ourselves off for the first.
I didn't mean to. I meant
great. I could do this all for 3 hours. You kidding me?
I meant to get more introspective than stroking ourselves off, but I guess
this
we
is
do
a damn good show. I mean, you're right. We are tremendous at this. There's no question about it. I could do this for 3 hours. Come on, I got no problem with that.
Yeah, but no, that was cool. Again, I was just kind of taken aback by that. Like, we've been doing this show for 11 years, and like sports radio, like a full station doing sports
35
radio.
Years.
Yeah, 35 years. It's like
a third of that.
Right. Like, what the fuck?
It's crazy.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, no.
What? No way. There's impossible.
Well,
I guess
you're fucking old now, man.
I
You're
know.
old now.
I know. My days of listening to WrestleManiacs on the score at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday is
your shin splints and your thinning hair and
the shin splints are okay. I won't address the second one, but the shin
how the
splints
boners
are fine.
holding up? You still got powerful boners over there?
Doing okay. They're doing okay. Yeah, they're not.
Right?
They're not what they were when you're 18. But I don't need Frank Thomas's pills. They're I'm fine.
Yeah, listen. You could work with a 70%er.
Right. They're not bad 1,000 anymore. It's not like Not when you're 18, you're walking around with a boner all day. You can't help it. You rub up against a dresser, you got a boner. It's not like that.
Yeah.
But, it's doing okay. It's doing fine.
It's all that matters. And listen, if you need the artificial help, it's that day will probably come. Listen, there's no shame in that. What have I always said? I've always said, Rich, that if
always,
yeah, if the day comes where I can't pop a rod, I will fucking strut to that pharmacy counter with no shame. I mean, why would anyone ever be embarrassed about that? Whatever it takes to get a healthy rod going. But listen, if we're gonna talk about how great we are and talk about my boner for 3 hours, I mean, I'm all about that. You want to skip these topics and just talk about how we've innovated wrestling podcasts for the next 3 hours?
Changed the game, yeah, by innovating, aka just stealing sports radio bits that nobody knows about. So
yeah, listen, we got a lot of clones out there, though. To be honest,
we do.
Some, and listen, I don't even mean that as a negative. Like, there's some, that shows that are
the
clearly
serious form of flattery, right? Yeah,
clearly inspired by this show. I mean, there's no question about it. And there's others that have, tried to copy us that have failed miserably. And others that are clearly inspired by the show and are doing great. And it's probably be classless to start naming them, but
yes, not probably. It would definitely be classless. It would probably be classless to start naming these fucking imposters who are just stealing our bit. Yeah, no, that would.
You could delete it. The $10 subscribers deserve something. Want me to start rattling off a list?
No, I'd rather not. So I don't want to edit this stuff.
Yeah.
No,
this show is pretty fucking great, Rich. I'm glad you made this a impromptu topic. I enjoyed this topic. We do this
every show 20 minutes. Why are we so great this week, Joe? What have you done that's been so great?
Well, to be honest, we
innovated audio on the internet.
We do this like once a year, though, where we just talk about how great we are. I mean, and then I don't know, listen, it's fine by me. We should do it twice a year, I think. Maybe quarterly. How about quarterly?
We'll put a note in my calendar to quarterly. Every time Tony Khan does a media call, we'll do a show where we tell everybody how good we are. So
one of our other favorite pastimes is we'll see like a semi high profile or even high profile podcast, and I'll send you a message and I'll say, hey, they're live. Let's listen to this for a few minutes, and we tap out in like 4 minutes. They're just so bad. like some of these shows, I'm like, why would anyone listen to this? Right. And then we're like, oh yeah, that's why there's 9 people listening. on their little YouTube counter because these shows are atrocious. They're awful. Some of these places will let anybody get behind a mic. Like they have nothing interesting to say. See, you got me going now. This is not where you wanted this to go. You're tugging your collar.
No. Well, honestly, and a lot of this is rooted in something I got upset about this week, and it was the Wrestling Observer Radio this week. Really got me going because so it's Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez, and obviously they do usually do a very, very good job. But like as of late, the WWE coverage there has been like just nothing. It's like, Brian is gonna say, hey, Dave, they did this, they had a DQ and a non-disqualification match or whatever, and Dave just goes, yeah, well, that's what they do. What are you gonna do? And it's like, well, no, like then don't cover it. Then don't talk about it. If you have nothing compelling to say about WWE anymore, then stop talking about it. Stop wasting my time. Stop wasting your time. If every single time that they're going to do something dumb and you're just going to say, well, that's what they do, and they're going to get a giant television contract, then we're done. Then we've lost all discourse. There's no point in talking. But no, you're going in a much different direction than I am. But it was that got me going a little bit of just you don't have to talk about something just because you have to talk about it. You don't have to have a podcast just because you have to have a podcast. Like, have something compelling to say. Have a reason to talk. Get me excited. Get me interested. Come on.
Well, now that we've put ourselves over and buried everybody else in the industry.
And Wade Keller, too. And another thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't swear on his airwaves. Fucking stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, you.
We can get through
it. Did your latest show with Alan?
It featured one F-bomb, yes. And
it aired already, and you cursed again? I
cursed again, but Alan being Alan, he said that, pulling the curtain back here, he won't mind this. He said, Todd Martin asked Wade if he could swear in some of his shows. And Wade said, all right, but, keep it to a minimum or whatever. So Alan took this to say, oh, well, now I can swear a little bit in my shows. But he has to put a caveat of he has got to put a content warning about it, and he wrote it in the most. Let me get the exact. While
you're looking for it, it's just hilarious that anytime we do Torch Audio with Alan, and with the famous Wade no profanity policy, you would think it'd be the other way around, but I have no problem.
You were good.
I do 4 hours of audio without even anything resembling a piece of profanity, and in the first 90 seconds, Rich is dropping F-bombs. He cannot contain himself.
Oh, monster.
And you would think it'd be the other way around.
I think it's the fact that, like, I know I can't do it that makes it worse. Because I think I could go an entire Flagship without swearing. I don't think that would be a problem at all. I don't want to because that'd be stupid and lame anyway. But I think it's the idea that, like, I can't, and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, don't swear. And then Alan just gets me excited about stuff, too. So it's not in the write-up, but I believe in the actual show itself, Alan has to do like a content warning that like you may hear swearing over the next hour of the show because Rich and I are both just too excited about the career of Hiroki Goto. We couldn't contain our excitement.
Yeah,
He has to qualify it by we were just so excited about Hiroki Goto. We just had to say it, which is incredible.
I think you're partially responsible for changing the policy over there because we can't get through a Christmas show. And that's the other thing. They're Christmas shows, and you still can't stop yourself.
By the roaring fire and the Yuletide, and I'm just a monster.
Yeah. And you're flinging motherfuckers and F-bombs, and you just don't, I'm actually put off by it, to be completely honest.
You're disgusted by my behavior.
Absolutely, yeah.
There was a great one. We were doing, I forget, maybe it was a Ring of Honor draft or something like that. I forget what it was. But Alan was like, all right, just a warning, guys. Like, just remember, no swearing. And he was like, he hit okay. And then someone drafted Davey Richards like a minute in. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? He was just like,
yeah.
All right, well, that's a little early. He's like,
I'm not exaggerating. You can't last 2 minutes on those shows.
It was so bad. That first one was real bad. And I was like, Alan, I'm so sorry. No, it's okay. It's okay. We'll just have to edit it later. And it's fine. I can't imagine the editing that had to be done by poor Alan.
Yeah. You're a maniac.
Yeah. So Mike Johnson, how does he suck? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think he does audio.
Does Mike Johnson do audio? Right? Okay. No, I guess not.
I don't think he does audio.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think he just does little news updates. He posts and ghosts, and he don't even bother talking. He don't argue. He does it very intelligently. He just posts his news, and he never replies to anybody. He doesn't get into silly arguments. He just, does his thing and makes his money and he probably slaps send on those news stories and then just goes about his day and never thinks about it again.
Caps lock, types in his line and it's posts and then he's out. So
yeah, post and ghost. That's the way to be. That's basically what you're doing now. I mean, I don't have any access to the Twitter, but you don't even post anything. It's all auto posts, and you just.
Sometimes I'll chime in with a hey, this is a great article and you should read it, and then I leave. So
the thing about it is, pull back this curtain a bit. I think you're still a little too timid and a little gun shy to really put certain descriptions on things.
No, I just don't.
Yeah, but see, I think it's because, all right, a few weeks ago we did the show on Liv Morgan, right? You downplayed that so much. You were terrified to even put Liv Morgan's name in any of the tweets or anything where, if we're trying to get downloads here, you probably should have put something in the tweets that was like, why Liv Morgan's push is being whatever, just something to get over the idea that we were pretty negative on all that Liv Morgan stuff. And we thought that, it's just another push that's ultimately not going to go anywhere. Everybody heard the show. I don't have to go through it all again. You'd think you'd want to attract some downloads by emphasizing that one of the strongest parts of the show was us burying the Liv Morgan quote unquote push. But I know you after all these years. You didn't want to go there because it's like you don't want to draw the flies, right?
Well, but what your assumption is that tweets result in downloads, and that tweets are equal to downloads, and engagement on Twitter equals downloads. That is not always the case. In fact, we can prove that it's not the case over the last year.
Right.
That it's not the case.
You're right. You're right. We just
so I could say, Liv Morgan, shit, what a dumb shit thing this was, and this is not going to go anywhere, and this is going to suck.
Well, yeah.
And then we're just going to get 18,000 people saying, you guys are dumb, what dummies. But we've seen those don't result in actually people listening, where people don't listen from those.
I agree, not in major numbers, because you look at the year over years versus last year, and this show isn't doing any worse than it was doing last year when we were, and that last year at this time we were still tweeting. And you sent me data from the website, which shows that there were actually times where our website did better when we stopped tweeting, as I burp into the microphone on this.
Yes, as we talk about how great we are.
Yeah. So no, you're right about that. But I do think, look, you're not going to get the people who are going to yell at you on Twitter to listen to your show necessarily, but you're going to get like-minded people who agree with sort of that line of thinking, maybe to say, oh, well, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Everyone's going crazy for this Liv Morgan thing. Let me see her. So you picked up little listeners, but I get your overall point. We have sort of proven that Twitter engagement does not correlate to business at all. I mean, we've shown that. I mean, the subscriptions have done nothing but grow since we've removed ourselves from Twitter. And we were kind of worried. We didn't know what was going to happen. We were entering the great unknown with that, but every facet of the business has grown since we've removed and that probably sounds hard to believe, but we've seen the data. So I understand what you're saying.
Also, I am terrified of Liv stands. If you want the honesty,
see,
yes.
That's all I want you to say.
I am terrified of the Liv stands.
You're terrified of the Liv stands.
We've dealt with the Sasha stands before. We know how to deal with the Sasha stands. That's fine. That's old hat.
A couple. Yeah. But here's the thing, though. We hardly ever criticize
Right.
Sasha.
We're usually on Sasha's side. So the Sasha stands are usually.
So they don't really come for us because we don't really often have negative things to say about Sasha. We don't really say anything negative personally about Liv. It's just we know what this push is. It's the same bullshit they always do. I guess I was pretty hard on her. I did say that I don't see any real upside.
Yeah, you were pretty tough on her.
I mean, I don't. I really don't see any real upside.
No, and that's fine. But, that's okay. That you're just saying I don't think she's going to be like a business transformative superstar, which
No, and
some people get upset about that, which is
Yeah, everyone seems to think they made a star, and it's like, oh, well, I don't know. SmackDown dropped again for the 4th straight week.
Oh, man, wow.
Which show is she on? She's on SmackDown, right? I don't even know what show she's on here.
Who he played for.
Yeah, exactly.
We could do an impromptu who he played for. I have Zero idea which brand.
Well, listen, Raw's
Gianna
not exactly.
Diego is on SmackDown. She is the SmackDown Women's Champion.
Yeah, either way, I mean, Raw's not exactly killing it either. But yeah, I mean, it's like the thing is though, if you just take a posting ghost attitude, you never have to see it. Fuck, man, just do the little thing where it doesn't show replies unless it's someone you follow. Just do that. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to see anything, and then you can just let it fly.
I don't even open the app.
Well, then there you go. You shouldn't have to fear anybody's stands in that case, because you're not looking at it anyway. But no, but your counterpoint is understood. It doesn't really correlate anyway. But
what does correlate is putting Sasha Banks in the headline, which, by the way,
that definitely correlates.
We have done it. If you haven't noticed, we've done it egregiously the last couple of weeks, and it always works. It worked for Open the Voice Gate. They did it too, and it worked for them. So
it is a gimmick.
We always joked about it that, like, putting, and this goes back to like 2016. If you put Sasha Banks in the show description, it's going to do better, and it's still in 2022. Still does work pretty well. So
so I'll give an example. So YouTube, which we don't emphasize and don't care about at all, we kind of just put things on YouTube because every now and then you'll pick up a new listener here or there. But we're very, compared to other places, we put almost zero effort into the YouTube.
Right. Which, by the way, if I ever did get the time, if I ever quit my job, that would be the first thing I would do more with. I know people are always like, you should do this, you should. Yeah, I know, but there's a finite amount of time in the day, and I don't have the time to do that. So, yes, it'd be nice to do all that sort of stuff, and eventually, maybe one day, I will be able to do all that stuff. But yes, I know. I'm aware that you can do other stuff on it.
So 2 weeks ago on YouTube, we had a show titled Forbidden Door Business, Rita Chatterton, Money in the Bank, and more. And that did a paltry 321 listens on YouTube. This past week, we did G1 Climax, Sasha Banks, Vince McMahon, and more. 745 listens. So even on YouTube, where we don't even put any effort into it whatsoever, if Sasha Banks is in the title, business picks up. All you got to do is put Sasha Banks. Open the voice gate. It's a fucking Dragon Gate show. And they put Sasha's name in their title as a bit, just as a joke to test the theory, and business picked up.
Yep. So
people want to hear
free advice from us. So there you
they want to hear what the Dragon Gate podcast has to say about Sasha Banks. They got to know. They're rabid. So, But look at the extent that Rich went to avoid saying Liv Morgan in the title. The title of the podcast 2 weeks ago was
Star Making
Performances Against All Odds and Ring of Honor. You were terrified to type the name Liv Morgan.
The Liv stands do terrify me. They are a unique people, and I don't know that I understand them. So
fuck them. What are they going to do? They're going to come to your house?
They might. They might. They're pretty. They love. They love their Liv. I will tell you that. But
you only live once, Rich. Just go for it, man. What are they gonna do? They're gonna send you a tweet with a meme that you don't understand. Like, that's the worst thing that can happen, right? They're gonna send gifs that you're not even gonna see because you don't.
TikTok trend that I have no idea what it is.
Yeah. You might get told to touch grass.
I will absolutely be told to touch grass. Yeah, but I've been told that
that's
many
the worst
times,
that's going to happen to you. Anyway,
there we go. So
we have an actual show to do, don't we?
We do have an actual show to do. Yeah, let's get to the actual part that we got to do here. Let's talk about the G1 Climax. Now, you are doing daily reviews over at Flagship, patreon.com. /Voices of Wrestling, voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon, however you want to get there. $5 tier, correct, for all of the G1 week nightly reviews?
Yeah, $5 tier.
$5 tier. So you have done all the way through night 3. Night 3 posted a little bit earlier today. Those have been very good. I've listened to them. They've gotten some great reviews so far. So you are going to continue, obviously, doing those. You already went 3 nights. You can't stop now. But I don't know, more nights like night 3, you might have to. You might have to ask to stop. But it's been an interesting G1 Climax so far. This is obviously the first time with the brand new format. Things are a little bit different. Things are a little bit weird. Night 1 kicked off a couple days ago in Sapporo. Attendance for that show, 2,891. For that one, we'll briefly talk about the attendances here because we're going to talk about attendance a lot with the Noah show. So I just thought I'd add into the New Japan one if we cared there. But Joe, I was just going to go night by night here and kind of quickly give thoughts about every match, or if we have no thoughts about a match, we'll just move on. There's not that many. I think we can get through them pretty quickly because going over the standings right now is completely worthless because the A block had 3 people go, the B block had 3 people go, C block obviously all the same. They've only had 3 people go. And it's just a 3-way tie at 2 points. So there's no point in going over the blocks. There's no point in even bothering with that right now.
I haven't done any standings on any of the shows yet because no one's had
format.
more than...
It's not going to matter for a long time. Like, it's going to be weeks until any standings matter whatsoever.
Maybe not weeks, but I mean, there isn't anybody who's wrestled more than once, and there's still 4 guys who haven't wrestled at all. So it's kind of silly to go over standings right now because half the block has 2 points, the other half point doesn't have any. The other half of the block doesn't have any points. It's so there's really no point going over that right now. I think after night 5, after the second Ota City show, I think I'm gonna start doing standings because everyone will have wrestled at least once by then. And then, actually, no, Tom Lawler doesn't wrestle until like night 7.
Yeah, it's night 6 or night 7 for Tom Lawler, and I think somebody, maybe I'm wrong, and I don't have it in front of me, but I thought somebody wasn't until night 8. Maybe it's Tom Lawler that doesn't actually wrestle until night 8 or whatever. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be like a week and a half or 2 weeks until you can really look at the ratings or the standings and have anything tangible to say about them. Otherwise, it's going to be, hey, here's a 5-way tie for first place, and then everybody else has 0, or it's
Tom Lawler,
tough.
yeah. Tom Lawler's night 8. He doesn't wrestle until the 30th, and today's the 20th.
That's its 20th right now.
Yeah, he doesn't wrestle till night 8. Because they're going to Tokyo, 4 straight shows, 2 in Ota City Gym, 1 day off, and then 2 in Korakuen. He doesn't wrestle any tournament matches in Tokyo at all, and then he doesn't wrestle until they take 3 days off and then go to Nagoya for night 8. He's the last guy to wrestle his first match, his first tournament match. So... yeah, bizarre that he doesn't get his first match in until the tour is halfway over, if you want to look at it that way.
Right.
Just about it. Not quite half, but, about half.
Not that far off. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's definitely a very, very weird G1 this year. So, yeah, you got to just be aware of that. So, yeah, standings are not going to be very exciting to hear people break those down, unfortunately. But there you go. So, let's real quick, I'm going to go over every night here, just do the recap. We won't do this, obviously, the whole way through the tournament, but at least, we're only through 3 nights at this point, so I think it's easy to kind of do that and get into, an understanding of, hey, who's doing what on this tour and who's showed out so far. But night 1, Sapporo, as I said, attendance was 2,891. Opening match was Aaron Hanare versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. You were correct in predicting Hanare as one of the big upsets of the early rounds. I thought maybe some other guys could have, maybe Phantasm over Will. That didn't happen. It was Hanare versus Tanahashi in what I thought was a pretty fun match. I enjoyed this match a lot. 11 minutes, 11 seconds. Hanare gets the win over Tanahashi.
It's interesting. 2 interesting things. Number 1, Hanare's been beating everybody with the full Nelson, but the full Nelson didn't work here, and he had to use the Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
That is a video game reference, Rich, if you're
Thank
not
you.
aware. The Streets of
I'm
Rage.
well aware of Streets. Were you a Streets of Rage guy?
I'm a little older than you. That was more
say.
my time than your time, Streets of Rage, right?
No, I went back. I went
you
back and
too, right?
appreciated. Yeah, I went back.
You know what? You're right, because I have a brother that's about your age, and him and his friends love Streets of Rage.
Yeah, game fucking rocks. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was your wheelhouse too. I guess because video games, you can be like 18 to 8 and play the same video game.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it could hit both there. Like, yeah.
Like I was playing Streets of Rage 3. I was, like 7 or 8 years old and playing that game. So, it's a little for an animal. They recently came out Streets of Rage 4, an updated game. It's very good, by the way, if you ever want to.
Is it the same side-scrolling beat 'em up?
Yep. But it's updated, newer graphics, that sort of stuff. But it holds true to the old Streets of Rage. So if you're
same
interested
simplicity.
Yes.
Same simplicity.
So if you're interested in dusting off the Streets of Rage, you can do that. So.
The old side scrolling. You know what they need to make a new? They need to make a new Gauntlet.
New Gauntlet. Yeah, they haven't made a Gauntlet in a while. They made a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. Similar style.
Similar, but the last new Gauntlet wasn't that Dark Legacy on the PS2.
The last, you're starting to sound like a nerd here, Joe. People are you're losing some of your street cred.
Listen, I know things. I know things.
I'm trying to remember if that was the last. Dark Legacy may have been
PS2 and GameCube. I believe.
Yeah, that may have been it. That may have been the last one, which is pretty wild because I played the hell out of the Gauntlet games for a long time.
Yeah.
So
that Gauntlet game was a fun game to play if you had like a girlfriend who didn't really like video games that much.
Yeah, you're just like walk around and hit this button. Okay.
Yeah.
Like
I'll tell you when to use your potion. Just
right. Don't use it until I tell you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they start the game, they hit that button immediately, the whole screen blows up. You're like, no. You got to save that. It takes your life. Like, just we'll use it.
Right. We want to save those.
Yeah.
And then, like, they start to get good at the game and start stealing the food from you. You're like, no, I need the food.
Yeah, they get the big old turkey leg. You're like, no.
This is how this works. We have to work together. I have less energy. I get the big turkey leg. Like, stop stealing my turkey leg. That's you always lead them in the battle because you're better at the game, right? Like, so your character will lead, and then your health will deplete. But they stink at the game, so you get all the food. But then they get better at the game. They start stealing your food. And then you're like, no. Listen, this is a co-op thing. We got to work together.
Yeah, it's a team. It's teamwork.
Because if I die, you die. Okay, so you got if whoever has that's the unspoken. That's when you got good video game chemistry. If you can play Gauntlet together and you have that unspoken thing where it's like, oh, okay, the person with less energy just gets that giant turkey leg or the ham. Isn't there a big ham?
Yeah, big ham. Yeah, there's a big old ham. There's one. Yeah, a big old ham with a bone in it and stuff. So, they had Gauntlet 7 Sorrows that came out in 2006 on PS2.
Same era.
I don't think they've had a new one since then.
Same era. Yep, I remember that one.
Which is unfortunate.
I preferred Dark Legacy.
I did too. Dark Legacy was better. Yeah, for sure.
But I did play the other one too. Now listen, if you told me there was a new Gauntlet game coming out on the PS5, I'd go get a PS5 tomorrow. Dust
off the PS5? Or you don't even have it yet.
I don't have one.
Yeah, you don't have it.
There's no games on the fucking
There is not any games. I don't have one either, and I play a lot of video games, and I'm just like, nah, I don't really need to get it because there's no games for it, so I'm good.
Yeah, but, if you told me there was a Gauntlet game, a new Gauntlet coming out, I'd go get one tomorrow. That and... I don't know. No one cares about my video game preferences, so we can.
They do. I think they probably do. I think this you revealing that you're a Gauntlet guy is probably going to have a lot of people talking. They're not going to be able to believe it.
Think so?
I think so. Because you're always like, Lord of the Rings, all that nerd shit. So I think you saying you like.
Lord of the Rings is. I mean, come on.
I agree. I'm with you. But
terrible series of movies. But if you listen, if you told me there was a Gauntlet coming out. And like a new Twisted Metal or something like that, I'd buy the machine.
I know there's a Twisted Metal TV show movie. There's something going on. Yeah.
Oh, Samoa Joe is playing Sweet Tooth.
Right. So it's
good casting, I think.
I love it. Yeah, it's great.
Because that Twisted Metal Black, I mean, everyone had that, and everyone had the same thought. This would make a good movie if the right person got behind it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
The Twisted Metal Black. But Twisted Metal kind of lost its way on for a while there, and then Twisted Metal Black kind of because didn't they change studios or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. A lot happened around that time. They did not do the. Yeah, there was this weird in between period before Black where it was kind of it was not good. I
kind of corny, and it wasn't it had all the same characters, but it was just cornball shit. But then Twisted Metal Black that brought you right back in. And I don't know if they've done anything since then. A full-on. I know they've done some mini games.
They've done a bunch, but I don't think I haven't played any of them to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, but
last I played was Twisted Metal Black for sure. So yeah, if you're wondering when Joe's apex of video gaming was, probably around 2001 to 2003. If you're not listening to all the references he's bringing up there, that seems to be the wheelhouse for.
I'd play. See, when we went to New Jersey, my brother's basement is a video game history lesson. He's got the time appropriate televisions with the systems.
I gotta hang out with your brother. I don't know why do I do a show with you?
So
I introduced sounds so much cooler than you do.
So I introduced the kids
because I have that. I'm looking at it right now. I'm looking at my whole collection right here and my appropriate television,
time appropriate TVs. And
he's one of those like it needs to be a CRT TV nerds, right? Like you can't have it on the HD.
Well, yeah, like
there's
the Nintendo.
Lag.
The Nintendo Entertainment System has to have a TV from 1987 or he won't hook it up. Like
wow. All right. He's even more hardcore than me. I love it.
So I introduced the kids, because they're old enough now to button smash and stuff, I introduced them to the original Gauntlet on the Tengen cartridge, the non-licensed,
Yes, of course.
black cover, like the Tenjin, like Tetris and Gauntlet, and what were the other? Maybe Super Sprint, I think, was a Tenjin game. There were a couple others, and
Rolling Thunder. I always remember Rolling Thunder.
Yes, so that's simple enough for them. Of course, I had to blow in the thing. For
Shinobi, I think Shinobi was one.
Shinobi was. I
think it was.
I don't know about Shinobi. I don't know about.
Okay,
Shinobi.
all right.
Oh, no, you're right. No,
yeah, I know.
I'm thinking of Ninja Gaiden. Hey, listen,
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it right now.
Jeez.
I leaned over and I'm looking at it. I got it.
Are you old enough to remember when Ninja Gaiden came out and people were blown away by those corny ass cutscenes?
Yeah, no, I went back later in life and found out.
A little too young for that. Yeah. No, so even the original.
He bones the girl in one of them, or he gets a blowjob in it, right?
In Ninja Gaiden?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I think in one of the cutscenes. Yeah, you need to go back. I think he.
I would think I would remember that.
No, I think he gets a little something in one of those cutscenes.
Yeah, that's flying a little too close to the fucking anime sun for me. Like fuck pillows and tentacle porn and shit. So I don't know how I feel about that. Honestly, now that I think about it. But listen, I was just trying to tell an innocent tale of
childhood lore. Yeah, go on.
The young children playing the original Gauntlet, the total overhead view, where you just see their shoulders moving back and forth. And you have to navigate these mazes. But yes, and you got to sully it with cartoon porn. Unbelievable, Rich. This is why you can't be trusted on Twitch.
That's why Wade Keller doesn't want anybody to fight me anymore.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our review of Aaron Hanare versus Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yes, there you go. Good match. Yeah, I liked it. Giving Aaron Hanare this one was solid. He looked good. I think he looked really good in this too. He clearly went into this match knowing he was going to win. You know what I mean? Like you could tell he had an aura of confidence around him. Like he's like, yeah, I'm going to beat Tanahashi tonight, man. I'm gonna go. But yeah, it's perfect. 11 minutes in and out. Tanahashi sold well. Hanare looked good. That's all you can ask for.
So here's the interesting thing: Tanahashi loses. Naito loses to Goto a few hours ago. They face each other next. Rich, if you go 0-2, you're
pretty much done. Yeah, you're
4 matches
pretty
left.
Much done. Yeah, it's going to take a lot of stuff getting right for you because you only have 4 matches after that. Yeah.
So whoever loses that Naito Tanahashi match, first of all, step 1, they must run the table from there because 3-3 is absolutely not getting it done. But they're going to have to run the table and get a little bit of help. Because they won't have the tiebreaker against either Naito or Tanahashi, and those are big-time players. And they'll also have 2 losses. So the loser of that's in the deep hole. That's why I said last week when Suit Williams came on, I think Tanahashi, because he's not on the final night, is either going to be eliminated before the final night or eliminated in his last match the night before the final night when he faces Kenta. Because remember, Kenta's not last match, but because he had a few matches before the G1. But we didn't see Kenta for months because of all the damage he took in that match against Tanahashi with the no DQ gimmick. So that is just ripe for an upset. So I think what's going to happen here is Tanahashi is going to win 3 in a row. He's going to need that win over Kenta to be alive based on the results of the next night. And I think Kenta's going to eliminate Kenta, who's already eliminated. I think will eliminate Tanahashi on night 17 or whatever that is. And then that block will come down to the 2 matches on the final night.
Next match was the D block, which I loved. This is probably my favorite match of the entire tournament so far. Will Ospreay, El Phantasmo. I loved this match. I don't know what you thought about it. I remember hearing you talk about it, but now I kind of forgot about it at this point, what you thought of this one. So this is good. I'm kind of fresh again in this because I listened to it a couple days ago. But I thought this was tremendous. I thought Will was Will. You know, he just is having an all-time great year. Phantasmo was so good in this match too. The back and forth of these guys, the kickouts, just crisp as hell, but in a good way. Like everything about this was just perfect. Both guys went out there trying to have a hell of a match. I was maybe a little surprised that Will got the win, but I suppose you don't want to stack up too many giant upsets in that first night, especially. So Will just got the win, and the way he got the win, this finish. Oh my God, I love this finish so much. So Phantasmo gets a pinfall. He only gets 2. He turns around to yell at the referee, and right in that moment that he turns around, Will takes his fucking head off with the hidden blade and pins him right there. It was awesome. I loved this match. I went 4 1/4. Far and away my favorite match so far of this G1. What'd you think of this one?
Hidden blade to the face too. Not to
it
the
got
back.
him. It was a brutal one too. Brutal one.
Yeah. Actually, it can't be hidden if it's to like. It was just the blade.
Yeah, it was just a blade. Yeah, it was just a slice. Yeah.
No, but yeah, Will went for the Os cutter, and in one smooth motion, ELP countered it with a backslide, which was just a gorgeous spot. And again, he got the 2.9 or whatever. And you're right. He went to complain to the ref, and it's like this all took like a fraction of a second. It was just, it felt like an organic. I don't want to say MMA style finish because, it's goofy pro wrestling moves. You're not doing a backslide in MMA, but you get the idea. It was more of a sports-like finish where it wasn't guys going through their shit at the end of a match. And no, this was it came out of nowhere and it was perfectly done. And I thought it was the best match of the night, but I did like a couple of the matches on night 2 a little better.
Jay White and Sonata, I did not like this match at all. I don't know what your thoughts were. I definitely fell asleep at least one time watching this match. And yes, I was watching it at night or whatever, but it was, I woke up and was like, oh God, it was, Jay White was winning and it was over. I only went 18 minutes, but I don't know. This did nothing for me, this match. And eventually I went back and rewatched it and I was like, no, it just did nothing for me. And it was kind of boring. What'd you think of this one?
I called this behind the paywall the most boring 3.5-star match I've ever seen in my life.
That's probably a good description because it wasn't bad. It was just boring. Like, I don't know. But I guess it's bad. Isn't that bad? That should be bad. But I guess it wasn't. It wasn't bad though. It was just boring.
Yeah. Well, I've always said the worst thing a pro wrestling match could be is boring. I mean, the idea is to entertain, but at the same time, I can't say it's a bad match. Right? It's weird. Look, here's the thing. A lot of people really dug this match. I think if you're really into Jay White, you probably really love this match. But Jay White's very hit or miss for me. He's very hit or miss for you. Same with Sonata. This wasn't even sloppy Sonata, but the match to me just didn't have any juice. And I don't know. I graded it on their work, not on my entertainment level. Mm-hmm. It's like the Dave Meltzer cop-out, I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
I didn't like this match, but it was empirically good, so I had to rate it what I had to rate it. Yeah, I get that, because, it wasn't like these guys were, this is exactly the match I thought I was going to get with these guys. It's not like I got disappointed at all with what it was. It was exactly the boring match I expected it to be. And it's weird, because, sometimes Jay White just lands with me, and I'm just like, dude, so good. And sometimes Sonata does the same, but then sometimes both these guys have matches like this, and they both had match like this, to me at least, where I was just like, nah, just not doing a damn thing for me at all in this match. So, this was not great, but, move on and see what happens later in the round. But they finished off the night, I thought, with a pretty good match. Okada and Jeff Cobb. Nothing. I don't think it was better than Phantasmo and Will Ospreay. I thought it was solid as hell, though. Okada looked pretty good. Cobb, I thought, looked pretty solid. 21 minutes, so it was obviously a little bit longer. It is the main event, so that's about where all the main events so far have been. The next night was 21, the next night was 22, so you can pretty much expect your main events to go somewhere around 20 to 22 minutes or whatever. But
hey, listen, that's what New Japan does with these tours. You're going to get an opening match with Team Filthy. You're going to get the final, the fifth undercard match is going to be LIJ, and then your main event is going to be between 20 and 23 minutes. Every G1 is kind of you learn the pattern quickly. Yeah, with the G1 and how the cards are laid out.
But this one, I thought it was solid enough. Again, not my favorite match of the night, but I thought Okada and Cobb was solid. Where'd you land on it?
Yeah, good match, not a great match.
Yeah, that's probably the best way. I think I went 3 3/4 with it. So
that's about where I was. So. The thing about it is Cobb doesn't lose to anybody in this tournament except for Okada. He went undefeated last year until he ran into Okada, and then Okada, prevented him from winning the block. Comes out this year against Okada. And this is what we're saying. Cobb has Bad Luck Fale next, and he has him on night 5. So pretty soon. The second night in the second show in Ota City gym, Cobb has Fale. If Cobb were to lose that match to Fale, I think he's finished because he'll be 0-2 with a loss to Okada, which means Okada would win any tiebreaker at 4-2. Okada's not going 3-3. So if Cobb loses to Fale, he would need Okada to go 3-3 in order to win the block, and we all know that's not happening.
Yeah, it seems really unlikely for sure.
So if you're approaching this tour from where you turn off your brain and from a kayfabe point of view, Cobb Fale all of a sudden becomes a very important match, because that is a must-win match for Jeff Cobb now, or he can't win the block realistically, unless Okada gets injured or something. So
that was that wrapped up night one. Night two, back in Sapporo. This night actually did a little bit better attendance-wise, 2,942, a pretty minimal difference, but enough of a difference there. 2,942 compared to 2,891 for night one. Your matches here will start out with Taichi and Tomohiro Ishii, which I had expectations of going in, of being pretty good. Taichi's good now. He's not doing the bullshit stuff anymore, thank God, because there's enough bullshit up and down this G1 that we're going to talk about in a bit here. He might sprinkle in some bullshit here and there, but in this match he just went out there, and he's done this with Ishii before in the past, where they just go out there and they beat the shit out of each other, and they beat the shit out of each other for 15 minutes, and I loved it. I thought this was a tremendous match. I'd have it just slightly under Ospreay and Phantasmo, but right in that mix for so far the best matches of the G1 for me.
This was a night of beating the shit out of each other.
Oh, it was.
Two. I have this neck and neck with Sabre and Kenta for match of the tournament so far. I thought this was really great, and I thought Taichi took Ishii out of his comfort zone. A lot of people are tired of the Ishii formula. This was not the Ishii formula, and it was a great match anyway. So this was different right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And behind the paywall, I went on a 5 or 6 minute sort of monologue on Taichi and how, say whatever you want about that guy, but he puts a lot of thought into his matches. He really does. He always weaves the history in. He's a very thoughtful pro wrestler, and he often gets guys to wrestle out of their comfort zone and do something different. Look back at that Ibushi match, that kick match with Ibushi is another great example of that, maybe the best example of that. But this too, the long history these two guys have with each other, which was explained great by Kevin Kelly and particularly Charlton in this case, were fantastic. If you didn't know anything about the history between these two, and explaining
you got it all
what was going on here, and and Taichi always does this. He look, it doesn't always land with him, and he was a shitty junior. There's no getting around that. He was a junior that would he could bring an entire card down. That Super J Cup that one year.
Oh my God, that Super J Cup, awful. Yes. But as a heavyweight, he's 42 years old too. This isn't a guy who, so he's been a wrestler for 20 years. So very underrated, and maybe one of the more underrated G1 wrestlers of the last half decade or so. He has he rarely has like the best match of the night or the best match in the tournament. At the end of the day, he's not going to have a bunch of top 10 matches on the tour or anything like that. But night in, night out, this is a guy who, when his ideas land, he really has some excellent outside the box matches. Yeah. There was the one a couple years ago with Ibushi, the kick match or whatever, which was just he goes out. He definitely tries to break from the formula, which is great because a lot of guys go into the G1 and they have a formula, and we talk about it. The G1 is, for all intents and purposes, not meant to be watched the way that we watch it. A lot of times it's meant for, okay, they're coming to this town on this day, so this town hasn't seen Jay White be a chicken shit heel yet. So Jay White's going to be a chicken shit heel and do the exact same stuff that he's done the last 5 or 6 nights or whatever. I haven't seen Bad Luck Fale do his thing, so Bad Luck Fale's going to do. So for us, the people that are watching every single one, watching every single night, watching all that sort of stuff, to us it's a little boring because it's like, oh my God, it's the same. But I will say what is cool about it is that Taichi does try to kind of deviate from that. Taichi does try to make things a little bit interesting in the G1, and yeah, he's a good worker. If it's another one of these things you could tell somebody who's outdated or not quite when they say like, I don't really, Taichi sucks, and it's like, he hasn't sucked in a while. It's been very, very long time since he's truly sucked. So yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's definitely been a while since that. So it's similar to the Will Ospreay doesn't sell, or the Young Bucks don't sell, or Will only does flips or whatever. It's very similar to that, where it's like, oh, you're just not watching anymore. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. Now I know that you're not watching, and you're not worth, your opinion's not worth talking to. So Then we had Toru Yano versus Jonah. Toru Yano wins, by countouts. 9 minutes and 1 second. Oh my god! Yay, great.
I mean, by Yano match standards, I didn't hate it. Check with me a few nights from now after a few more of these, but I didn't hate it from that from that baseline. But you probably could have trimmed a couple minutes off of it.
If you're just going to do this finish anyway, I prefer the days when Yano would just win in like 4 seconds, because it's like, all right, cool, then we're done. And it's just, we do the same. Oh my God, Yano won! What a surprise! And it's like, is it? He wins a lot of G1 matches by countouts and nefarious means. It's not a surprise. It's not an upset anymore, and that's the problem. They've overdone it so much that it's kind of lost its. There's no intrigue whatsoever for. Oh my God, Yano did something silly and he won via countout. Oh man, who would have ever thought it? So
I just picked up on it on night 3, but New Japan's doing the thing where Jonah on his ring entrance does the stomp and then the camera shakes like they did in NXT.
They took that from NXT, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't notice it till night 3, but New Japan's doing that too. He doesn't do it on the ring steps like in NXT, but he does it when he's in the ring. He does the stomp. And he's been teaming with Bad Dude Tito.
I know. Can you believe Bad Dude Tito is in New Japan Pro Wrestling during a G1 Climax? Bad Dude Tito, a former...
Bad Dude Tito and Royce Isaacs are on a G1 tour.
Past, like, OG flagship Patreon, like, guys that you would make fun of. Back when, like, there was nothing going on, so you would do Lanza Lens, NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Like
Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, yeah. And Bad Dude Tito was one of the...
It was an original meme of, like, the flagship Patreon. Yeah. Never in a million years, if I would have said, he's going to be in New Japan for a G1 tour in a little bit, you would say, okay, all right, sure.
Yeah. Tell me then that Bad Dude Tito and Royce Isaacs would be on a G1 tour, and I would ask you what the fuck happened to New Japan. Yeah. Right? I would have said, there's no way that's true.
Yeah, there was a massive sex scandal, and everybody had to be fired. Yeah, or Hiroki Goto got all of his family's money together and said, "We're out of here, guys," and a bunch of people left with him. It's formed his own company.
Rich, unless there's been some kind of global pandemic, there's no way that's ever going to happen. Right. Is probably what I'd say. But yeah, no, here we are. And here's the thing, because we're not going to talk about the undercards at all. So we may as well get this in now. I don't think either one of them have looked out of place. Like, Bad Dude Tito, he's got himself some new gear. He's a big motherfucker. He looks the part, and he's perfectly fine for these openers. And Royce Isaacs is a nice little wrestler who's been doing good things.
Yeah. Looks good, good body. Yeah. No, I've been a big Royce Isaacs fan for a while. I think he's a solid as hell pro wrestler.
Yeah, and he's the guy from Team Filthy that they picked to come over to team with Lawler on Lawler's off nights, which are every night until night 8. But so that's the guy they picked, and I can't kill them for picking him. They had a bunch to choose from, but I think Isaacs was the right choice. So, and good for those guys, And if night 3 showed anything, it showed that, because TMDK went against Team Filthy in the opener, and I was like, oh, who's losing here? Is it going to be Bad Dude Tito, or is it going to be Royce Isaacs? And it was Royce Isaacs who lost.
Yeah, so Bad Dude's he's a big boy, like you said. So yeah, they're going to obviously probably side with him a little bit more, and Royce a little bit smaller, a little more compact. Is going to be your guy that's going to take more of the falls there. But so we talked about how night 2 was a beating the shit out of each other night. C block match, Zack Sabre Jr. and Kenta beat the ever living shit out of each other in this match. Holy crap, was this hard hitting? Zack Sabre Jr. just slapping the hell out of Kenta. Kenta slapping the hell out of him. Zack Sabre Jr. turning Kenta strikes into holds. Like, a lot of really good stuff. Kenta, this felt like a little bit of Kenta of old. It's obviously not the speed of Kenta of old, but it's like the late Noah stages Kenta, where he was just annoyed and pissed off at everything. And he knew this thing was going down. He knew this sucked. He hated everybody. Everybody hated him. So he just went out there and just beat the shit out of dudes. Just nonstop beating the shit out of guys. And this was this match here. I thought this was awesome.
This is the match of the tournament for me. This was Mean Kenta. And that was the story of the match, how Zack Sabre Jr. is a Noah Youngboy to him. And Sabre trying to strike with him, but very unsuccessful in his attempts to, Kenta would win every exchange, and then Sabre would, try to turn the strikes into holds, which is he kind of baits you in and does that. That's kind of part of his style. And then Kenta really successfully finally beating down Zack and really having him beat. What happened was Zack came flying in and Kenta hit him with a knee. Very, very much MMA style, where a guy tries to shoot, but he catches a knee and he gets knocked out. That's my favorite kind of MMA knockout, by the way. And they did that here. Kenta was too slow to get to the cover, but then he was able to. He hit the Basiku knee or whatever you call that thing, and he had him beat, but then he picked him up at the count of 2. Then he had him beat again. He picked him up at the count of 2, and then he had him beat a third time, but Sabre was able to put on a wacky submission and on the taped up shoulder of Kenta, and Kenta blew it because he wanted to punish him so badly that he ended up losing out on the points, and Sabre stole it. Great story, great intensity, great physicality. My favorite match of the tournament. And Kenta is just, he's got that giant scar down his back from January from that fucked up ladder in that no DQ match. He's got his shoulder taped up, which I don't know.
It looks brutal.
Yeah, and I don't know whether the shoulder is a work or a shoot. I don't know if it's
probably a little bit of A, a little bit of B. I would say at this point, Kenta being Kenta and the way his body has I would say any injury is half work, half shoot for Kenta at this point.
Yeah, but at the same time, you've got Zack Sabre Jr. drop kicking it. It's it's going to be the target of every match because it's taped up. So I don't know if, like you're saying, probably a little bit of both. But because you think he's been basically out since January. He wrestled a couple of matches at Korakuen before this tour. But when would he have injured his shoulder? So I don't know. But the point here is it doesn't matter. The point here is that was the target of the attacks and it ended up playing into the finish. Just a brilliant match, I thought. And the physicality was off the charts. These guys were laying into each other, especially Kenta. And yeah, you're right about that. This is late stage Noah Kenta, where his body was already starting to fail him, and he was making up for that by just being this grumpy asshole right. Who is going to stiff you. And if that's how he's going to work throughout this whole tournament, I'm in. He's going to have a great tournament.
Yeah, I'm in for sure.
Yeah.
And this is a little different, obviously, because it's Zack Sabre Jr. So there is that story that, like you said, that he considers him a Noah Youngboy. So he was treating him like he was Kenta in late stage Noah against a Youngboy, beating his, the shit out of him. But obviously Sabre could fight back a little bit more than those Noah Youngboys could at that time. So I thought it was a really fun story for a match. And yeah, just a really, really good stuff. Sabre is another guy who I think has underrated G1s too. He always brings some very interesting stuff to the table.
Yeah, no, he does. And, to me, this is the match that, I'm sure someone will top it at some point, but this is the match to beat to me. This is the match of the tournament so far.
I think I still like Will and Phantasm a little bit more, but it's close.
That's fair.
Right neck and neck. And then the main event was the D-Block match, Juice Robinson versus Shingo. This is would you consider this an upset, or do you think that Juice is on a trajectory right now where this is not an upset? Juice over Shingo.
It's like I said last week. They're not pushing Shingo right now.
Right.
So to me, this was just a neon sign that Juice was going to win this because, he's doing this new, rock hard gimmick, and this block is going to come down to him and Will. And Shingo is a guy that you can beat right now because they're not doing anything of importance with Shingo. So with Juice's first match in the G1 with this new gimmick, Shingo's like the perfect guy to beat because
I agree. I'm with you too.
Yeah, it's like a big star, but it's also someone where you don't have to worry about beating him right now.
Right, you'll be taken aback that, and I was too. I was like, holy crap, Juice beat Shingo. That's nuts. And I'm like, well, yeah, no, when you really think about it, when you really analyze it, it makes sense. It's probably the way to go, but I bet a lot of people have that similar reaction, like, oh, wow, that's a big upset. Juice means business here, and that's exactly the intention that you want here, and that's exactly how you should use somebody like a Shingo right now. If you're not planning on Shingo, winning the G1, and you're not planning on Shingo winning, a title anytime soon, this is the perfect way to use him, to let Juice Robinson beat him, really sell that this new Juice Robinson character, this new Juice Robinson stuff is serious. It means business, that he's leading up to that match with Will, that he's kind of a pseudo champion because he's still carrying around that one title. So the US title. So it all worked out pretty well. And it was, shocking in the moment, like, holy crap, Juice just beat Shingo, but it makes all the sense in the world. It's exactly the right way to book this match here. So credit to them on that for sure.
Juice might win the block because when he faces Will, Juice has the physical belt, but Will's the champion. So to set up a title match between the two, it makes more sense for Juice to beat Will and still claim that he's the real champion or whatever. And then Juice can lose in the semifinals of the tournament or whatnot. And then you just do Juice and Will as like the semi-main event on fucking Destruction and fucking Bipu or whatever, you know? So, yeah, no, but I wasn't surprised that Juice won the match for all those reasons we talked about. The problem was I don't think the match ever got to a second gear. No.
The match was not good enough. It was good, but it was. Yeah, I expect a lot more for a main event, especially with Shingo in there. Shingo has a certain level that you kind of always want him to get to, and Juice I thought might be able to get to that level, especially in the main event of a G1. But it was good, but it wasn't great by any means, especially on this night that had two tremendous matches.
Yeah, no, this was this wasn't anything close to the Taichi Ishii or Sabre Jr. Kenta match. No.
Then we had night 3 in Sendai. Attendance was 1,414. Now, obviously, that's a huge fall from Sapporo. I don't know the difference of the what was being sold or what capacity, all yada yada, all that sort of stuff. Just reading the attendance here, just thought I would kind of put that in there. But yikes, night 3. And this was one that you look at the lineup and you go, maybe I should skip this show. No, it's too early in the tournament. I can't skip this. I got to watch this entire show. I got to watch all these matches. I got to do this. I'm a completist. I want to watch the whole G1. I need to see what everybody does in every single G1 match. I should have skipped it. You all should have skipped it. We all should have skipped it. Joe, you could not skip it because you had to do the review for FlagshipPatreon.com. So you unfortunately had to watch this night. I, an idiot, also watched this entire night. Finished up right before we got on the air here tonight, but this was brutal. This is a Pantheon bad G1 night, right? Like I can't recall off the top of my head one any worse than this in a long time.
No, I mean, can Tama Tonga and Chase Owens, do they have a better match than this in them? Yes, they do.
Of course. Yeah.
Can David Finlay drag Yujiro to something better than he did on this night? He can.
Maybe.
He didn't here.
No.
And then they do another count out with Fale. I mean, if Fale and Archer are just going to do a monster match in the monster block and beat each other up, there's some alternate universe where that can be a good match, or, you know, but this was not that. And then at that point, and even this was even the least interesting undercard, if you really want to take it to certain extremes. So then at that point, you need Goto and Naito to save you, and they're certainly capable of that. But I didn't think they had a great match either. They had a good match. So all in all, this was one of the worst G1 nights that I can recall, because, you know, the main event was good, 3.5 star range, and the rest of the G1 matches were bad. I would call them all bad matches, and then the undercard was absolutely nothing going on either. So. Not good. I mean, it's like, if I'm look, I understand he's in there with Yujiro. I get it. Okay. But if I'm David Finlay and I haven't been in a G1 in 7 years, and this is my big opportunity, I don't know, man. I'm trying to have the best match of my life every night I get in the ring. I mean, that would be my mindset. And it's not just that it was a nothing match with Yujiro. It's that I didn't see any kind of special effort out of Finlay. And I get you're in there with a guy who you can only do so much with a Yujiro. That direct quote we always bring up every year from a wrestler in this company. But it's like, you can only do so much with a Yujiro. I get that.
Who may be wrestling at some point in the next
I did what I could with a Yujiro. Was
with a Yujiro, yes.
What I could with a Yujiro. But still, and it's like, this was a night full of guys who were like on that proverbial cut line. Finlay, Chase Owens, Tama Tonga, Yujiro, Fale, and if they would have gotten more stars from AEW, or if they would have said yes to Jake Lee, some of these guys wouldn't even have been in this tournament. You got Carl Fredericks, who just sunk his own career by complaining about not being in this tournament. You're in it, and I didn't see, like, Tama Tonga and Chase Owens. Did you see maximum effort from these two guys?
Oh, no, God, fuck no. Jesus Christ.
I mean, and they're feuding on top of that. Like, there's a story behind their match, at least. Finlay and Yujiro is just a fucking match. Tama Tonga and Chase Owens are in the middle of a hot feud. It's like, and it's still, I didn't see the kind of effort you would expect to see. Here's the kind of effort. Here's an analogy I'm going to make you. Okay. In the old days in the NFL, you had 4 preseason games. Now it's 3. okay? I want to see third preseason game effort from guys on the cut line in this tournament. Guys like this. They should be trying to solidify their spots moving forward. They should be trying to solidify pushes moving forward and all of those things. They should make sure, look, all of their attitudes, these guys that were on this show, their attitude should be, I'm not getting replaced by Jon Moxley next year. I'm not getting replaced by Bryan Danielson. Miro's not moonwalking in here and taking my spot for 3 weeks, okay? I'm going to go in there every night and have the match of my life or die trying. And I did not see that from any of these people. And this is the group of guys that should be trying the hardest. Hey, Shingo ain't going anywhere, okay? Zack Sabre Jr. can mail in half his matches. It's not going to matter. You're Chase Owens or Finley, okay? I mean, geez. Finley, it's 7 years. This is what we get.
I know. I was probably most disappointed in his effort because it was like, all right, here you go. This is your chance to show people, and there's no question that I think he's probably been frustrated by, all his peers doing much better than he is. And well, that's just why, like, efforts like this is why they're all doing stuff. This is why Juice is where Juice is. And that's why, Jay White, yeah, I didn't love Jay White, his match in night one, but like, it's Jay White. I mean, he's done a tremendous job, growing and becoming what he is. And Juice has, reinvented his entire career and stuff. And Finley's obviously going to try to do that here and try to reinvent himself as a singles guy. But, like, that's just really bad. I mean, yeah, it's Yujiro. I know, it's Yujiro. But, like, yeah, I needed to see. And this was a night of there was 3 matches back-to-back. And I'm not going to besmirch Lance Archer because I think he at least tried in his match, but there's really nothing you can do with a bad luck foul at this point. I guess we'll get to that when we get to it. But there was just a lot of matches of no effort. And then the main event was like, it was perfectly acceptable pro wrestling, but that wasn't enough on a night like this. It wasn't enough to get this night back from where it was, because these were 3 of the most pathetic matches I've seen in a G1 really ever. And man, a lot of guys that I don't want to see in a G1 ever again if this is the effort they're going to give me.
If I'm Tama Tonga and Chase Owens, if I'm Tama Tonga, I pull Chase Owens aside and say, hey, man, look at the card tonight. We can steal the show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're giving us 15 minutes. Let's go out there and have the best fucking 15-minute match that we can possibly have. And those 2 guys have a great match in them. I mean, they're not Yujiro where it's like, once a year he might, do something that surprises you. Those guys are capable. So, I'm going to be harder on them. You want to give Finley a pass because he's in there with Yujiro, who isn't even in the best of shape either. I mean, he's, right now for whatever reason either. But it's like, look, Finley has a main event match coming up with Juice Robinson and Corkin Hall. Former tag team partners, a lot of history, main event, Corkin Hall. Okay? That's put up or shut up in my mind for Finley. Because there's no reason that shouldn't be a great match. In front of that crowd in that building with the history between the 2 guys involved, because Juice didn't exactly blow me away in his opener either. Those 2 guys got to go in there and have a great match and get that clap crowd to the point where they're making those mouth noises even though they're not supposed to. That's what I want to see out of David Finley and Juice Robinson and Corkin in a week or whatever it is. So, that's what bothers me the most. It's like, these are the guys that should be trying the hardest in this tournament. So, just a crap night all around. Just nothing. I mean, if you're listening to this, there really is nothing you need to see here. I mean, and maybe we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater with the main event, but that wasn't anything special either. It was, just picture a good Goto versus Naito match. That's what it was. If you need to see a good Goto Naito match, by all means, you'll get one. But, the rest of this show, complete waste of time.
All right, so as we said there, no reason to really go over the standings. We are going to be back at it for Night 4 and Night 5. Night 4 is July 23rd on Saturday. Night 5 is July 24th on Sunday. Your Night 4 lineup is Zack Sabre Jr. versus Aaron Hanare in the C block. D block is Yoshihashi versus Shingo Takagi. A block,
Yoshihashi's first match.
Yes, Yoshihashi's first match. A block is Okada versus Yano. And then the B block match is going to be Tomohiro Ishii versus Jay White. So it looks like a pretty fun night, all things considered. Okada and Yano will probably not be good, but everything else has potential to be pretty damn solid on night 4.
Ishii and Jay White, of course, a rematch from Ishii spoiling Jay White a couple of years ago.
Yep.
A match that they put on New Japan World for free a couple of days ago. So, look, and this will be the same city, not the same building, but the same city where it happened and everything. So that's a big-time main event.
And then night 5, as I said, that's on Sunday, July 24th. D Block, El Phantasmo versus Yujiro Takahashi. We'll see if El Phantasmo can make something out of Yujiro. B Block is Sonata versus Taichi. A Block, God help us all, Jeff Cobb versus Bad Luck Fale. And then the C Block, like you said, a match that you really are going to want to focus on because it's a big, big, important match. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Tetsuya Naito. And that's important all the time because it's Tanahashi versus Naito, but doubly important in this tournament because one of these men might be done after night 5.
They're going to be in a real bad spot if they lose. I was thinking about something with Fale and Yano because they're in the same block and they both won by count out. Are we building towards like a count out battle between Fale and Yano?
God.
Like a match built around them trying to count each other out? I think that's what we're doing here.
Great. Well, you know what? Make it 4 minutes then. If you're going to do this shit, I don't care, but let's get in and out of here. I don't want to waste it. Well, I'm just going to do what I always do and just skip these guys' matches.
Was it that? It's either that or, look, Yano winning by count out, that surprises no one. The Bad Luck Fale one, so it's either they're building towards something wacky with those two, or to make the points work, Archer had to lose this one, and they're giving Archer and AEW some respect by not pinning him. That could be it too.
Yeah, we'll find out pretty soon. I thought it was more of they're giving them respect. They didn't want Archer to take a fall from Fale, but they wanted Fale to beat him. So that's how I read it. But I guess we'll find out if pretty soon if they're doing what they are going to do. So
yeah.
And that is your G1. Again, as we said, Flagship patreon.com/voicesofwrestling, voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon. Daily G1 audio from Joe reviewing it. What did you say? You've been 5-6 hours or so after the show ends, basically getting them up there. So at some point during the day, getting a review up there. So yeah, it's not like you're going to have to wait 2 days or a week or whatever to get the review. You're getting it within the same day as most of these G1s.
They go up in the shows end at in America, 6 a.m. on the East Coast or whatever. I get them up early afternoon, mid-afternoon. So yeah, the turnaround time is pretty quick, and you get more detail than we're doing here. You get the spoiler-free recommendations that people have demanded. They really enjoy that. So I open up the show and give you spoiler-free what you need to watch, what you don't need to watch. So a lot of people like to hear that, then go back, watch what I tell them to watch, to save time because people don't have time to watch these shows wall to wall. And then I review each match in detail, and we take a look at what shows are coming next. We take a look at this year because the schedule's so different. We take a look at when each guy wrestles next and who they're wrestling. So, and then, as the tour moves along, we aren't doing it yet, but we will shortly. We'll do the detailed standings and all the different advancement scenarios as I talk myself into a circle. And then what I also like to do is the top 5 matches of the tournament, and then as we get deeper, I expand it to a top 10 matches of the tournament. So people like to follow along with that too, to see where their favorite matches land on my top 10, to see what my top 10 looks like by the end of the thing. So the audio ranges anywhere from 20 minutes to 40 minutes, somewhere in that range. So you're in and out. I don't take up your whole day, and we've been doing it for years now. Every year that we've had the Patreon, so this has got to be year 3 or 4 at least with this daily G1 audio. And, it's one of the things that it's a favorite of the subscribers. So if you're watching the G1, you're following along, you want detailed analysis every day. And less sites are doing this now because, New Japan coverage isn't trendy anymore or isn't as trendy as it used to be. So I only know of really one other site, and I'm not going to plug them, that's still doing the daily audio head-to-head with me here. And, all the others have dropped out. So it's one of the only places you're going to get it. Obviously, if I'm doing it, it's going to be better than the other guys that are doing it. And, $5 tier. So jump in.
There you go. All right, so let's get to we're going to get to Noah and some other stuff, but I do have to let you know that this episode of the Flagship Podcast is sponsored by our friends at HelloFresh. And with HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and best of all, affordable. That is why it is America's #1 meal kit. And they have a lot of summer stuff as well. You can bust out the grill with HelloFresh, and I have done this a few times as well. So you can bust out the grill on a nice warm evening and make dinner from HelloFresh's cookout collection with recipes like melty Monterey Jack burgers. You can skip the grocery store and spend more time soaking up the summer sun. HelloFresh Market is a one-stop shop for all of your mealtime needs with quick breakfasts, lunches, snacks, desserts, and more as well. One of the big parts about HelloFresh that makes them kind of stand out, why they are America's #1 meal kit, is that if you're going away for the summer, if you need to skip weeks, if you need to say, hey, look, I don't want anything for June, I'm going to be gone most of the time, or hey, I don't need anything for July, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks, you can just skip it. You're fine. You don't have to do that. You can even do another thing where you update your delivery address. If you say, hey, I'm going to be somewhere for a long time, and I actually kind of want the HelloFresh there, you can do that. They will allow that. It's the lead time is not that much, so you can update your delivery address and enjoy HelloFresh at your vacation destination with just one click. Plans are super, super flexible. Foolproof, step-by-step recipes mean a more joyful cooking experience and a stress-free summer. Plus, HelloFresh cuts back on the time spent in the kitchen with meals ready in around 30 minutes or less. So you can go to HelloFresh.com/VOW16 and use our promo code VOW16 for 16 free meals across 7 boxes and 3 free gifts. Again, that's HelloFresh.com/VOW16. You use the promo code VOW16, and you get 16 free meals across 7 boxes and 3 free gifts. As well, HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. One more time, HelloFresh.com/VOW16, and use that promo code VOW16 for 16 free meals across 7 boxes and 3 free gifts from HelloFresh. All right. What's going on, guys? This is Rich from the Flagship podcast here on the Voices of Wrestling podcast network. I want to let you know about Drizzly. If you look for it, every day has a cause for celebration. You can celebrate a friend for their promotion, baby, wedding, life thing, whatever the hell. Or you can celebrate yourself for keeping the couch warm. It's no easy feat, especially if it's a big couch. Or maybe you just want to celebrate living in 2022, where you can get beer, wine, and spirits delivered from Drizzly in under 60 minutes without leaving said couch. So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com, that's DRIZLY.com, and get your favorite drinks delivered today. Once again, that's the Drizzly app, or go to drizzly.com, DRIZLY.com, and get all beer, wine, and spirits delivered from Drizzly in under 60 minutes without even leaving the couch. Drizzly app or drizzly.com.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
There we go. All right, let's talk about Pro Wrestling Noah, Joe. They had Destination 2022, July 16th from Budokan, famous Nippon Budokan. Attendance here was 3,215. 3,215. Now, to date, in 2022, there have been 5 shows at Budokan Hall, so we thought we'd at least touch on those, the attendance-wise for those. New Japan Best of the Super Juniors on June 3rd. They had 3,520 for attendance, so they beat this Noah Destination 2022 show by about 300 or so fans. New Japan had the New Japan Cup March 2nd. That had 2,007 fans, so that was not as about 1,000 less people for the New Japan Cup there on March 2nd. New Japan's anniversary show had 3,182, so slightly below this Noah Destination 2022.
Wasn't that the Desperado main event?
The anniversary show on March 1st, yes.
And that was not a good number, and nobody was happy with that.
That was a bad one. The anniversary one. Are you talking about the anniversary or the Super Juniors?
Anniversary.
That was Fujinami, Tanahashi, Okada versus Fujiwara, Suzuki, and Sabre. That one.
Desperado was the year. That's a year before. This pandemic, man. It's just all.
You've lost track of time and place and
the 21 the 2021 anniversary show was Desperado, and that did not draw well either. What would be the date? Let me look that up.
Just see if you can get that one. It'd be February or March of 2021. And then finally, Noah at the beginning of the year, literally the first day of the year, the New Year's show, January 1st, that had attendance of 3,181. So this Noah Destination show slightly above that one at 3,215 over the Noah the New Year, 3,181. Last year, February 12th, Noah ran Destination 2021. They ran it in February, as I said. That had 4,196 fans for that show. That was Keiji Mutoh defeating Go Shiozaki for the GHC heavyweight title. So a pretty big fall from where they were last year. Joe, anything that you can analyze, anything you can take away from these attendance numbers, or are you still kind of in the same path of, I don't know exactly what some of the,
Well, I it's hard because we've been in pandemic so long and all this, but you got to start looking at it eventually. Last year's anniversary show was Despi and Ibushi, and that did a little over 3,026 fans in Budokan. So New Japan was up a little this year with their anniversary show. Because remember that Despi show, even at the time, it was considered not a good number.
Yeah.
Now, the Noah shows, it's hard to compare. I mean, because I don't know the distancing and who's allowed to sell what, but you can compare the Noah shows head to head with other Noah shows. And that number from last February, where they did over 4,000 fans, they were pleased with that, and they've been disappointed every time they've run the building since. I mean, I wrote a big story about the last time they came back to the building, and they were so down from the year before with that Muto Shiozaki match, and did a little journalism here. And there was one native wrestler in the locker room who said that the company is very disappointed in the number that they pulled for this show. So basically the same number as the last time they were in the building.
Right.
And the thought process was that with this being one of the Muto 6 retirement matches,
one of the final few times to see Keiji Mutoh wrestle live.
Correct. That the feeling was it was going to draw more in line with the Muto Shiozaki match from last year, but it didn't, and there was disappointment in the number. It's not considered a good number because the last two Noah shows weren't. The last Noah show wasn't considered a good number when they did. What was it? A little under 3,200 people in the building.
Yeah, the Noah the New Year, January 1st, 3,181.
That caused a booking reshuffling and everything else because that number was so poor.
Right.
So, and this number was essentially the same. And no, it is not considered a good number. And we were even told that from a native wrestler in the locker room, that the talk was not happy with the number, and they thought Muto's first retirement match would draw better, and it didn't. It seems as though, this Muto thing, I'm sure the final one as Great Muta will draw. His last match in Noah is going to be as the Great Muta.
Yeah.
But what's happening is his contract will then expire, and he's going to do one more retirement match, and he's still shopping that around. He's offering it to Noah. I think New Japan's going to get it, but he is also talking about doing a produce show. I don't think he intends to do a produce show because I think that's just part of the leverage to
right. Well, he wants someone else to foot that bill, and I don't blame him at all. He wants someone to give him X amount of dollars. They do all the hard work, and he gets the money and the glory and that sort of stuff of getting the attendance or whatever. But yeah, putting together a produce show, I mean, that's a lot of work on your end then, as opposed to there's companies in play, and there's a lot of companies that probably are gonna, like you said, that want to have that because they think it'll be, do good business, and they're probably right. It probably will do good business, and how good a business we'll maybe discuss when the time comes or whatever. But like, no, if I'm him, no, for sure, I'm making New Japan or Noah try to vie for that. Final night. I'm not spending my time doing a produce show or any of that shit. So
I don't have any insight or anything like that. My gut just tells me New Japan's going to get that match. I think when push comes to shove, I think New Japan is going to want that match, and I think they're going to do what it takes to get that match, especially in their 50th anniversary year and all. Actually, technically that'll be next year though, so the 50th anniversary stuff won't be a factor. But I think New Japan is going to throw their weight around and get that match. And honestly, I think
right. That's the right place for it too.
It's the right place for it, and it's also there's more options for it to be the biggest possible match as well because they have bigger stars. So you want to do Tanahashi, you want to do Okada, whoever, name the names. Noah doesn't have anybody that can match the star power that New Japan has. So ultimately, I think they're going to get the bout, but he's smart to work everybody against each other for now and get the best deal possible. And I think that's why he's, talking about doing a produce match. That's just to add a third bidder. And so,
right.
That's
exactly,
so he can say, oh, well, I'll just do this thing myself.
Right. If you're not going to give me this, I'll just do it on my own. And they're like, no, fine. You'll get this. So yeah, he's playing.
He's nothing if not a worker.
He is absolutely a worker. Yes, which we'll get to in a moment. He is a worker, indeed. He is a professional wrestler in all senses of the word. So,
but yeah, not considered a good attendance. They really thought they'd get back to the 2021 levels in the building with both the Muto match with Kiyomiya and also with Kojima, which, by the way, don't run the tape, but we gave Kano 0% chance. I think was the number we said, 0% to win the title.
No, it couldn't have been 0. Don't listen back. I'm sure it wasn't 0. Don't listen back and find out though. But yeah. Oops.
Look. I thought they would do Muto Kojima. They still will. I think one of his matches will be against Kojima. I just figured it would be for the title, but maybe it's just better this way, where you don't have the politics of a title involved. Because if you put a title on Muto,
they may have been so worried. They may have been so worried that Muto would have said, "I want that title, baby." And they're like, you know what I mean? Like, because I could see just get the title away from the negotiating table, get it as far away as possible, because I could see that he is a master politic. He is a master worker. I could absolutely see, a few days before the match, he's stroking that goatee, saying, you know what, it'd be a pretty good idea if I won that title. And I get it. I totally, in hindsight, it makes sense why they would get the title away from it. But yeah, I kind of thought that the bigger. Yeah. And really the bigger attendance match would be Muto going for that title one more time, or going for that chance to win that title. But they may have been so terrified about the politics involved with that, which would be incredible.
The two guys that won all of those belts, because if you throw in the NWA belt, they're the only two.
Right.
So I thought that would be the angle. It's not. But you could still have a match between the two guys who have won all of those belts. You just don't have one of them on the line. Mm-hmm. Kojima really likes Kano. He likes Kano and he likes Nakajima. They obviously weren't going to go with Nakajima right now for various reasons. So they went with Kano. Kojima, he's not needed in New Japan right now. And, he probably really liked the idea of adding this title and to his collection and being one of the two guys to win all these belts. And, I'm sure he'll be back for there. I don't know if he's going to be working on working the tours necessarily now that he's no longer champion. He might, I don't know, but he'll definitely be back for the bigger shows, and I do expect him to wrestle Muto. But those are the two big stories, or the three big stories. Number one, the show kind of bombed at the gate. I don't call it a bomb, but it definitely wasn't a success at the gate. We have a new GHC champion, and of course, the Kaito Kiyomia finally beats Muto. You had no faith. You were like, fuck that. This old fuck's going to win again. Okay.
He may have mostly lost. Right. I was going to say the result I was wrong about. But
he may have lost, but he certainly didn't put anybody over. And we'll get into that.
I can't wait to talk about it.
But Kiyomiya wins, and I guess let's just talk about it now. That's the big story.
We'll go all over that. We'll go all over order. We don't have to go through the entire order of the show and stuff. Let's just do
that match right now.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Look, he finally beats him after the 2 losses, the draw, taking all the falls in the tag matches. But look, if this wasn't a pristine example of someone putting someone over.
The English commentators told me, passing the torch moment. I went,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, 30 seconds after they called it a massive upset.
Yes.
Which is also something you probably don't want to say in this situation.
Right. So, this was not a passing the torch moment. This wasn't an old gutsy vet laying his heart on the line and letting the young whippersnapper prove that he was better and truly give him that moment and give him that shine to say, yes, you are the new generation. You are going to push pro wrestling forward in the years to come, sir. Thank you for giving me an effort. Thank you for beating me. Thank you for learning under the guidance of myself. And you now go forward and live wrestling and be everything. It was not that. It was not that at all.
This was Hulk Hogan begrudgingly putting someone over. and making sure that he came across still looking like a badass in doing so. That's what this was. Muto and Hogan are the same.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for people who didn't watch this and never will watch this and just listen to our show and don't really watch Noah but enjoy listening to us review things, I'm sure everyone could relate to Hogan in situations where he quote unquote put people over, but really he didn't put them over. You know, the way that he sneakily took the shine off Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania.
Kicked out at 3.1, slammed his hand on the mat. No,
and just the mannerisms,
the
mannerisms and the facial expressions as he was leaving the ring, where Hogan was a master of making the fans feel bad for him, instead of feeling good for the guy that beat him.
Exactly.
And Muto in this match, he didn't put Kiyomiya over. First of all, he didn't even, the finish was completely absurd. I mean, okay, let's even go before the match itself. I mean, in the build to this match, Kiyomiya on his social media, it was, I'm learning all of Muto's moves. I'm learning the Shining Wizard. I'm learning the figure four. I have to be Muto to beat Muto. That's a giant ego stroke in and itself. This entire story from start to finish is a terrible pro wrestling story. It was awful. It was an awful story. The story here was basically the 25-year-old stud blue chipper, future ace of the company, cannot beat a crippled old man unless he becomes the crippled old man. That's not a good story. It's an ego-stroking story for Muto. But when has the story ever been different for Muto?
No, I was going to say,
You have to stroke his ego. So right there is a huge mistake. You have Kiyomiya cosplaying Muto in order to beat him, and he's continuing it. I don't know if you've seen his social media since the match, Rich, but he's moving forward. He's going to be doing Muto's moves and wearing Muto's colors and being Muto, which won't allow anyone
really
to
works
get this
out.
nonsense.
Yeah, the great Sonata did not exactly work out for Mr. Sonata, so I don't
It's
know.
a garbage story. It's an ego stroke for Muto. It doesn't do anything for Kiyomiya. I don't know if it's going to hurt him. It might not matter, but none of this helped Kiyomiya. None of this over the last 2 years is going to help Kiyomiya. Okay? So even before they even step in the ring, the story stinks. I mean, this is just a laughably bad pro wrestling story. Okay, they get in the ring. Muto is less mobile than ever, if you can believe it. Because ever since the last time these two were, he had another hiatus. He had more hip issues. He had more procedures or whatever. And he was less mobile than ever. And this match was completely absurd, trying to watch this 25-year-old stud in the prime of his career work down to a literal crippled old man. That's what he is. He's a crippled old man. And Kiyomiya has to work down to this. It's absurd. It's silly. You cannot suspend your disbelief for this. I thought this was the worst match they've had yet because Muto was at his absolute worst. I don't know how he's going to get through the other 5 matches. Physically, he is completely shot. And I know this sounds like a broken record, but it was worse than ever. Okay? And you have Kiyomiya working his ass off trying to make something of this.
Can I give a little credit? Because we're gonna get very granular about this. Kiyomiya was fantastic in this match. This was broomstick, carry job, an all-time carry job by Kiyomiya, because he worked his ass off to make this match everything it could possibly be, and he had to, because he was in there with a literal broomstick that was not going to sell for anything he did, was not going to run, was not going to jump, was not going to do anything that he could to get this kid over on his own. So it was up to Kiyomiya to do it all on his own, and he worked his ass off in this match. This was an all-time great performance by Kiyomiya. So if you want to give any credit to Muto for Kiyomiya, I don't know if he lit a fire under this kid's ass or something, but his body looked good. He looked like he was in tremendous shape, and he went into this match saying, fuck it, I'm going to prove that I'm great. I'm going to prove that I belong, that I should be the type. This was the best I've ever seen Kiyomiya. To me, the best single performance of his entire career.
Maybe, but I'm tired of this. I'm tired of throwing roses towards something where one guy is a complete immobile wreck.
And I'm with you. And now let's go to the other part of it, because it was also an embarrassment. It was also a complete embarrassment.
Yeah, so I'm not going to sit here and praise the match because one guy has to try 1,000 times harder than the other because the other guy can't perform.
Right, that's not fair.
I'm tired of this.
That's not good wrestling either. That's not the way it should be.
It's a bad match. It was hard to watch. It's impossible to suspend disbelief for this shit. Okay, unless you're some big Muto mark, which I'm not. I'm indifferent on Muto. I've liked parts of his career. I've been indifferent on parts of his career, and I've hated some parts of his career. I'm indifferent on him. So I'm not some Muto mark. So none of this did anything for me, watching him limp around the ring and look ridiculous in the process. So Kiyomia can work as hard as he wants. To me, that makes the match look like more of a farce. Because you've got this guy who's one of the best wrestlers in the world in the prime of his career. He's doing all the work, and he's still struggling to beat a cripple? This guy's crippled. What are we doing? This match is absurd. It's not helping him get over. It makes him look weak. Okay, he puts Muto in the figure four, and Muto just doesn't bother selling it.
Doesn't. If you haven't seen the visual of this match, if you went to click, you go to Wrestle Universe and you click, Noah Destination 2022, and you scroll to a random point in this finish, and you don't have the audio on, you haven't watched any of the other match, you would, I think 99% of the time, if you were just a random person watching, you would think that Muto has the figure four on Kaito, and Kiyomiya is the one struggling to not tap out. Because Kiyomiya is flat on his back, slapping the mat, screaming, pounding the mat, and Keiji Mutoh is like sitting up and just looking out into the distance, sitting up and looking out into the distance, just sitting there, and Kiyomiya is going trying to get this guy to tap out, and then finally, the way that he taps out is Muto. The referee comes over and he goes, yeah. Kind of points at him and goes, "Yeah, I'm good." And the bell rings.
I'm looking for the exact quote from the commentary because they had the cover for Muto because he wasn't selling.
Because he was just sitting there looking.
Because it's always all about Muto.
Yeah, it was.
That's why I can't.
Well, not even
call
the worst part. Not even the worst part is to come, I think.
That's why I can't even call this a great carry job or anything because I thought the match sucked. This match was a farce. I can't call it a great all-time carry job because you can't have a carry job in a match that isn't good. And I think people
an all-time great. Maybe an all-time great performance, but not an all-time great carry job. I think is Kiyomiya putting in an all-time great performance, but a carry job needs then to make the other guy look good because the other guy carried him to a great match.
And he didn't make Muto look good.
Right.
Muto looked horrendous. So what did he carry? He carried himself. He didn't carry Muto. Muto looked awful in the match to the point that we all know watching this man doesn't belong in a wrestling ring. And I cannot suspend my disbelief for this. I cannot buy into the idea that a guy who can barely walk can fight this man who's 25 years old at the peak of his athletic prowess. It's ridiculous. Then he doesn't sell the finish. He refuses to tap. And he just tells the referee to ring the bell. And then as soon as Kiyomiya relinquishes the hold, he just casually rolls out of the ring.
This part, I think, is the most important and the most egregious to me ever.
He casually rolls out of the ring like Hideki Suzuki did when he lost the Wrestle One title a couple years ago against Jumpin' Jacks guy. Can't remember his name. Doesn't matter. And
Kai.
Completely knows Kai when he lost it. Yes, exactly. Rolls out of the ring, doesn't sell the move at all, does nothing to endorse or put over the guy that finally beat him.
Right. By the way, he's halfway into the crowd before
he's leaving.
Before Kiyomiya even realizes, oh fuck, where is he? He's in the crowd leaving.
So then Kiyomiya realizes the moment is being lost.
Right. He's bowing to the crowd.
Because
Kiyomiya's in the ring, he's celebrating his win, bowing to the crowd, getting to the top rope, going, yeah, I did it. Then he looks and turns around and goes, oh fuck, Muto's already into the crowd.
So then he's trying to save this.
Right. You couldn't lay on the mat. You couldn't lay on the mat for 3 minutes. Muto,
no, but the key is to get you got to get the endorsement from the guy you beat.
Well, that's what I mean. He's got to sit in the ring for a little bit, let Kiyomiya celebrate, and then when you meet in the middle of the ring, handshake, bow, tap on the shoulder, lift his hand up. This is the new guy. We couldn't. No, he was out of the ring in 25 seconds. He was already in the crowd.
Yeah, because he had no interest in putting the kid over.
He's a prick, yeah. So.
And all these people are like, oh, I can't. He put him over. This was awful.
Passing of the torch. This is one of
the worst examples of passing the torch ever done in pro wrestling. He had to chase the guy down in the aisle.
It's so funny because they're like, oh, Kiyomia, what's Kiyomia doing? It's like trying to get the fucking heat on this segment, trying to make sure that his moment of get a handshake from Muto isn't lost. Like, because Muto is
trying to make sure this the last 2 years meant something. Right. He's screaming his name. Muto's no-selling him. Finally, he hops down, and Muto turns around, gives him a little pat on the shoulder, and walks away.
Yeah.
You
done good, kid. You done good, kid.
You know why? Because Muto doesn't have any interest in putting anyone over.
Shit. Yeah,
Muto's entire goal in this feud, in this match, was to look like the badass. And he looked like the badass again. He looked like the guy who wasn't feeling any pain from the figure four. He didn't even tap. He gave a verbal submission, and then he got the fuck out of Dodge and left the kid hanging. The kid who worked his ass off, who's been bumping all over the place for this jerk for half a dozen matches. Okay? Here's what you do. This is how you put someone over in a feud like this. Never mind the first 3 matches. Let's assume that the other 3 matches went exactly the same, which was a mistake. But fine. He beats the guy twice and has the draw. We get to this last match. Here's how you put him over. Number 1, it's not the first retirement match. It's the last retirement match. It's the one that everybody's going to remember. You put this kid over in your final match, not your first match of the 6. That's number 1. And it's very telling that he did the Kiyomia match first because he thinks, Muto, that the other matches are bigger, and he doesn't give a shit.
Right, the other ones are going to be a lot of older guys, a lot of guys that he came up with, the guys that he respects, and that will be how he ends his career. This was the last of the, I'd assume the last of the, all right, yeah, let me pass the torch, next generation, yada, yada, whatever. Now let me go wrestle all my friends in front of the most fans I could possibly have.
Yeah, and everyone's going to remember those matches, not this one.
No,
Number 2, when the kid puts you in the figure 4, you sell it like you're dying. You sell that figure 4 like your legs are going to snap off your body.
This guy learned my move, mastered my move, and now he's killing me with my own move.
I mean, you turned him into a simp. You turned him into your cuck and made him copy you. The least you could do is sell when he put you in the move. And you sell it like death. If your intent is to put the guy over, you sell it like you're dying. You slap that mat like you never slapped it before. You got tears coming out of your eyes. You can't take the pain. And he wrenches it in. That's how. Number 3, after the bell rings, you lay on that mat if you're Muto and you refuse to get up. You struggle. You can't get up. You can't move because this kid put you down for good. You don't get up until he helps you up.
Right.
You make him help you up. You make Kiyomia get you to your feet. And then you raise his hand. You point. You turn to all 4 sides. You bow to him. Kiyomia bowed to Muto outside the ring.
I know.
What are we doing? You bow to him. That's how you endorse. You get helped out of the ring. You don't walk out of that ring. You can't even stand unless Kiyomia lets you stand. That's how you put someone over. And then you endorse them. And you let it soak in. And you let the moment sink in. He did none of that. Anyone who thinks that this was a good story or a good moment, or a good passing of the torch is lost. You don't know what you're talking about. And you shouldn't analyze wrestling. This was awful. It couldn't have been worse. I couldn't have drawn this up worse. The only thing that could have made it worse is if Muto won.
I was going to say if Muto won, and yeah.
And he may as well have won.
Right.
What's the difference?
I was going to say, I don't think it would have mattered if Kiyomia tapped in the figure 4 or not, because the same thing would have happened. Muto would have rolled out of the ring. Kiyomia would have said, hey, can I please get a handshake? And we'd say, yeah, sure, kid. All right, here you go. Bye. Like, pretty much exactly the same thing. So, yeah.
They did everything wrong. Everything. And you know why? Because Muto didn't want to endorse him or put him over.
Of course not.
Yeah. This was everything you shouldn't have done. And poor Kiyomia understood what was happening when Muto was hightailing it out of there, which is why he chased him down.
Yeah, he looked and saw him out of the ring and went, no, screamed his name and then ran out of the ring and said, no, and cut him off. Said, you're not walking anywhere else until you give me a handshake. We need the picture. We need the visual of you giving me a handshake, which is just absurd. This guy was out of the ring in 10, 15 seconds. Absolutely absurd.
This was a disgrace. This was a debacle and a disgrace. Just from start to finish. going back 2 years. And this match was like the icing on the cake. This was so bad. I watched this twice because I gave this the benefit of the doubt. Twice I watched this, okay? And it was worse the second time. When I picked up on all the little things I missed the first time that Mutoh did to screw this guy. And again, I don't know if it's going to hurt Kiyomia. Maybe it won't. But here's what I do know. None of this helped him. None of this helped Kiyomia. And I think it's a mistake that he's going to do cosplay Mutoh from here on out. He's bowing to him. He's taking his moves. Mutoh's not selling for him. He did everything short of blow him in the ring. Embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for Kiyomia. He shouldn't have worked this hard for this guy. The kid's too naive. I mean, fuck, man. I mean, he got taken advantage of for 2 years and got nothing out of it. Nothing. It's a joke. I don't know why people aren't up. Noah fans, for some reason, enjoyed it. They should be irate. Noah fans should be irate at this match. I'm irate. I don't give a fuck about Noah anymore because the Noah I loved has been gone for years. I don't understand why they're not irate at this. This was awful. Stop trying to fool yourself that this did any good. 2 years of this kid's career wasted.
Yeah.
Because Mutoh's Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm. And for what?
You can't get rid of this guy fast enough. I'm booking this company. He comes in the back. He never works for me again. Take your lousy attendance and this bomb of a show and hit the bricks. Go have your 5 matches somewhere else because this is a disgrace. You bury our kid like this. We need this kid.
Yeah, because in a few months you're gone and never coming back, and now we're stuck.
You're ripping off the next money mark. I need this kid.
Right. Well, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, and I thought it was kind of telling where you said, he's going to want to do that final retirement match in New Japan because Noah doesn't have stars of that level. Noah doesn't have stars. Well, they've had guys that are purportedly pro wrestling legends there for a couple years. You'd think maybe make a star at some point. No.
I don't know.
No, where's Nakajima? Look at where he was 3 years ago, and look at where he is now. Look at where Kiyomiya was 3 years ago, and look at where he's at now.
Nakajima's a little shit, but you know what? He doesn't take this credit. At least he opens his mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, Kiyomiya, I don't know, man.
Yeah, too nice, probably. Just yeah.
Too nice. At the end of the day, Mutoh worked the fuck out of this kid because at the post-match was this kid putting Mutoh over. Bowing to him.
Right. Thank you for teaching me your moves so I could finally beat you. He goes,
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I could finally beat you and you cannot sell it. And even though the whole story here was that Mutoh has no knees, I can finally beat you with a figure 4 and then you can no-sell the figure 4.
He's walking out of the ring, no problem.
This motherfucker, if they told this story properly, should have been carried out by 16 guys and shouldn't have been able to put an ounce of weight on those legs. But he doesn't care. He does not care. I feel like I'm the only sane person in the world when it comes to this match.
I think there's a lot of people that maybe are I don't know if they're new to wrestling at all or they're not, but this is playbook stuff. People that have been around for a while and watched this dumb shit for a while know what this is and know what this type of stuff does and know
you spotted a mile away
and know that it never helps anybody. This is Hulk Hogan putting over Billy Kidman, quote unquote. This is Kevin Nash putting over Rey Mysterio, quote unquote. This is Hulk Hogan passing the torch to Ultimate Warrior, quote unquote. We've seen this a bunch of times in America, in Japan, elsewhere. It's never good. It never results. Rey Mysterio never became a star in WCW after Kevin Nash, quote unquote, put him over. Billy Kidman was right back to doing Billy Kidman shit a month after the Hulk Hogan, quote unquote, put him over. Ultimate Warrior was a bomb in attendance wise, and he was done at being a superstar for WWF a year later. And there's multiple other examples. Noah, again, if you watch Noah for 20 years, you know that this type of stuff of just always go back to the old. But to be fair, those guys were never as egregious as this was. This was like you said, Hulk Hogan playbook shit.
Yeah, no. See, those guys,
they just were always put in that position, but they were never this.
The original Noah in that era, they just gave up on the young guys too quickly. They panicked when they didn't draw right away. When those guys didn't, when Kenta and Marufuji, you want to throw Shiozaki in there, when they didn't draw right away, Noah panicked and went back to Misawa and went back to the older guys. Those guys didn't eat the younger guys up and sabotage them. They didn't sabotage them the way Muto sabotaged this kid, because they had a vested interest in the company succeeding. They just panicked when it didn't work right away. Their problem is they weren't patient enough. So they said, oh, well, we can just go back to the older dudes and go back to – but then that put them in the position they're in now, where they're running through different owners and they've never fully recovered from their glory days because they didn't ever build the next guys. And I don't know if Kenta, Marufuji, and Shiozaki would have worked. None of us will ever know. What we do know is they weren't patient and didn't give them a proper chance. That we can say for sure. And they panicked too quickly and gave up on them. Particularly Kenta and Marufuji, more so than Shiozaki.
Yeah.
Shiozaki and Morishima never really – by then it was too late in a lot of ways, especially Morishima. But it was Kenta and Marufuji that they just weren't patient enough with. There was no sabotage there. Misawa didn't sabotage those guys. They were just businessmen who were shitting their pants because it didn't work right away. Ironically enough, drawing numbers that these companies now would salivate over. But that's neither here nor there. But this is just Muto not giving a fuck about this guy. It's not caring at all.
Right. It's the Hogan playbook. It's the Kevin Nash playbook. It's that bullshit stuff from past eras that you would hope promoters would be able to sniff out a little bit easier these days and not know that it's happening and not allow it to happen. But here we are.
Did I think Muto was going to put this guy over the way that I said that he should have a few moments ago? No, I never thought Muto would do that. I mean, give me a break. It's Muto's Muto. We know the Muto playbook.
Right. It hasn't changed in a lot of years.
Okay.
So.
I didn't think he would do that, but I did think he'd sell. I did think he'd make a token effort to endorse Kiyomiya, and he didn't do the bare minimum. I mean, what kind of ego must you have to not lose to the guy until he copies you and then not sell for him and then not put him over and endorse him?
Yeah, the end. I mean, the end was to me the most egregious stuff. Even the figure 4 was awful, and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? Sell this figure 4. Even then, I was like, all right, whatever. Kiyomiya got the quote unquote tap out or whatever. But the rolling out, I mean, that's when I was like mad. At first I was kind of laughing. I'm like, oh my God, Muto. When he was out of the ring in 10 seconds and into the crowd in 15, I was stunned. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like you said, if he walks to the back, you say, here's your checks, get the fuck out of here. We're good. We don't need you anymore.
Yeah. This was one of the most egregious examples of shitting on a guy when you're supposed to be putting him over. This was awful. Wild. This was truly awful. And it's and the story itself was just so fucked up and bad from the jump, and just taking 4 tries to beat this guy and then not being able to do it unless you become him. No. The prime 25-year-old future ace stud should be beating the old guy on the way out who can barely walk around as himself. He shouldn't have to become that guy to beat. It's just all a massive ego stroke. He did everything but give him a hand job in the ring. I was embarrassed for the kid. Just terrible.
Yeah. Let's go.
Sorry for screaming over you over and over.
No. You're right. No, and you should be. That's what it is. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. That's what it is. No. The Kano thing, I want to talk about that because to me that was a polar opposite, and to me a much better example of
one guy's a pro and the other guy
exactly. That's what I was going to say. If you need the juxtaposition of it,
himself. Yeah.
If you think that the Flagship they just hate old guys, they don't like old guys. Satoshi Kojima's old as fuck, and that guy can work his ass off. We never give a shit about the age. We care about the effort. We care about what you do.
Never about the age. It's the credibility.
It's the credibility, professionalism, the work, all that sort of stuff.
We've never said Minoru Suzuki shouldn't have won that match because he's old.
No.
We've never said Satoshi Kojima shouldn't have won this match because he's old. It's the credibility, and Muto has none at this state of his physical condition. That's the point here. Okay, it's never about the age. It's about are you credible? Can I suspend my disbelief for you?
Right. Can I believe that you are able to hang with this guy? And there was matches with Kano, and we talked about it before last year with Kano and Fujita and Kano and Muto, and it's like, I can't believe that this guy, Kano, who can do so many things and strike so hard and all this sort of stuff, I can't believe that he's having trouble with these old dudes who can barely move or whatever. Fucking Satoshi Kojima's chopping the shit out of this guy, and I'm like, I could buy that he's chopping the fucking shit out of this dude. Like, it's Kojima. Yeah, he's moving around perfectly.
Satoshi Kojima, the way that he still wrestles, you can buy that he can beat up anybody.
Yeah,
because he wrestles a physical style. He's not what he was 10 or 15 years ago, but he's not far off either. Like, he's still physically I have not reached the point with Satoshi Kojima where I'm watching him wrestle and I'm thinking, oh, this guy's close to the end. I mean,
no, we had that with Tenzan. Like, if you remember, even with the tag team, we were like, dude, we got to figure out a way to get these guys broken up because Kojima's too good to be, weighed down by Tenzan at this point. And this was 4 years ago, I think, that we said that. New Japan did that. They eventually realized, okay, we got to cycle Tenzan out of this thing and get Kojima to kind of do some of his own stuff. So
perfect example to the point you just made, where these two guys were the same age. One, we were like, get him off my screen. The other, were like, oh, they maybe should even keep pushing this guy. Same age, same tag team.
Right.
It's never about the age. It's about the credibility.
I see people say that sometimes, and I'm like, have you ever heard us talk about Mochizuki or Kojima?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, all we say is, I can't believe they are X years old. These guys are incredible. They're so good at their age. It's like, get out of here. It's just, absurd. But this match rocked. I like this match a lot.
It was a good match. I mean, it was probably the best match on the show. I didn't think any of the matches on this show were great, but I thought a few of the matches on this show were pretty good, and this was one of them. Flirted with the Notebook for me. I could buy it if you went 4 or something on this. It was in that range. Kojima always works hard. I like that. It was a pleasant surprise, honestly, that Kano won the title. If this all leads to Kiyomiya versus Kano on the next big show for the title, the on again, off again rivals and all of that, I'd be all for that. And I would pray that it draws. I would pray that it fucking draws so that we can get away from all of this fucking nostalgia shit. But I would be concerned that it wouldn't, because of all of the things I just screamed about for the last 20 minutes is why I would be concerned that it may not draw. Because again, I don't think this feud did anything for Kiyomiya. I think he's probably exactly where he was before, and maybe a little worse off if he's just going to be a copycat of his daddy. But yeah, no, good match. I'm glad Kano won. We'll have to endure Kojima working down to Muto at some point. And that's the issue. When you have to work down to a guy, I don't want to see that guy anymore. That's the thing. When it's obvious that wrestlers are working down to someone's level, that's when those people need to be put out the pasture. And whether that means putting them early in the card, you want to put them early in the card like All Japan used to do in the Baba era. Baba knew when to put guys in the opening comedy 6-man match, including himself.
I was going to say, including most notably himself.
Okay. Could you imagine Giant Baba when he was shot treating a young star this way, the way that Muto treated Kiyomiya? I mean, you can't even fathom it.
No. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like the perfect comp, and it's just like it's so unfathomable that like Giant Baba to be get out there with Tenryu and say, "Nah, kid."
I'll give you one. I'll give you one. 1992 Giant Baba beating Jun Akiyama like a drum, 3 matches in a row. Right. Until Jun Akiyama learns to do Baba's chops and head chops and and learns all of Baba's moves, and then Akiyama beats the washed up Giant Baba, and then Baba blows him off and just heads up the aisle. That's what you witnessed with Muto and Kiyomiya.
It's absurd. People would laugh at it.
There are people trying to say that this was good. Okay? It's absurd. It'd be like Okada coming back from Excursion and being on the losing end of a feud with Manabu Nakanishi.
Right, Fujinami comes out there.
Until he learned how to do torture racks and, And then after going 0-2-1 against Manabu Nakanishi, finally beats him by wearing Nakanishi's gear and doing torture racks. And, that it's as absurd as these Baba and Okada analogies sound. That's exactly
what you just got. Yeah. That you say is good. Yeah. That you say is good.
Okay. So, but anyway, the main event was pretty good, and I'm glad Kano won. And here's hoping that when they put these younger guys back on top, that they could at least draw at the same level. And we put all these dudes out the pasture, all of them. Fujita, Muto. When Muto goes, they can all go. Just take them all with you. Go away.
Yeah, this was the night where I was really just like, all right, I think I'm ready for all these dudes to just go away. There was a lot of good stuff. I thought there was decent, fun talent up and down the card. There was you did see, like you said, Go Shiozaki is back and he's doing his thing. Sugiura was doing. Nakajima looked solid enough in here. Kiyomiya got his win, so okay, we'll move on. Even the tag match, I had, we'll talk about it here a little bit, but it was all right, there was enough stuff. The junior match I thought was pretty good. There was enough stuff that really stood out, and it's we don't need these guys anymore. These guys are here, but why? What are we doing anymore with these guys? Send them all back, and we're done. Let's move on. There's the pandemic's over. You did this for 2 years. Let's move on. Let's get the
whatever level of business you think they were popping, it's done.
Right. That's, you know what I mean? It felt for me the first time ever, and not just these guys gotta go away because I don't like them or whatever. More of all right, what are these guys really providing to you? What is Fujita doing for you anymore? What are you gaining from having Fujita on your roster?
I mean,
getting the W, by the way.
At least Muto really did draw at points in his career and is a legitimate all-time superstar.
25 years ago, but
so yeah. But look, but here's the thing. Overall, I had fun watching this show.
The production of Noah is great at this point. Especially the English language. If you're listening in English language, it's really good. The production is great. The video looks good. A lot of the undercard was quick. A lot of the matches got in and got out very, very quickly. And really even the main stuff. Kiyomiya and Muto, I think that was the second longest match, and Kano and Kojima, but that was 28 minutes or whatever, so that not too bad there. And then the tag match and the junior match were both 20 minutes a piece as well. So yeah, it was an easy watch for the most part. I didn't feel like I wasted any time watching it. Just not everything went the way I wanted it to go, but hey.
It was the undercard was a fun, easy watch. And then, business picked up with the Kiyomiya Muto match and everything kind of got serious from there. As expected, Hideki Suzuki and Tim Thatcher won the tag titles. I have hiccups. They won the tag titles. I think they would have won them whether Elgin was there or not. But this was a decision match with Masa Kitamiya and Yoshiki Inamura. And look, I think Timothy Thatcher is a good fit for Noah.
I think so. He looks great. He looks great there. He's kind of all, he's got his long hair again. He looks kind of, and his in-ring style. I think, I think it's going to be a good fit. I really, really liked how he wrestled in this match. So I'm in.
Yeah. The junior title match, Hayata and Yoshioka, it was fine. I mean, I just, Hayata, I don't know. So tired of that guy, honestly. But the match was fine though. It wasn't.
I thought Yoshioka was pretty good in this, and I thought there were parts of this match where I liked Hayata, and I don't usually like Hayata. There's a lot of times where Hayata just does nothing for me whatsoever. He was okay in this, but I thought Yoshioka was pretty damn good. So to me, he helped this match be solid enough. When I say good or really good or no, but I would definitely say solid. But yeah, Hayata he doesn't really light my world on fire. And then Suji Kondo came out to challenge him, so I was like, oh, all right, that's.
I hope he lariats his head off. I mean,
like he did it. Yeah, he did at the beginning of King and Gate, or he won in 10 seconds or whatever. Yeah, I'm down. I'm down for that.
Yeah. So on the undercard, Ninja Mac and Dante Leon, this was interesting because I thought they had a slowed down, better paced version of what they do in Game Changer. That's how this came across to me. And both of those guys can be very, very sloppy. I thought they both had good nights for the most part by their standards. And they did a more deliberately paced version of what we usually see them do on the American Indies where, the standards are very low and you could just go out there and fuck off and, do crazy shit. It doesn't matter if it lands. Everybody's drunk in the crowd anyway. But I thought they had a professional version of their usual match. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I would say they probably should ramp it up a little bit more in the future, because I think they didn't exactly, to me, show just how dynamic they could be. Like, they were a little slow at certain points and a little disjointed at certain points. But I'm with you. It did feel like they were like, hey, let's do all these spots, but like, instead of doing all these spots, let's cut like half of these spots and just do the ones that really matter to us and really mean the most. And that's probably a smart idea, but I would say, in particular, I think it'd be nice for Ninja Mac to kind of ramp it up a little bit more, because he's being brought here because he's spectacular at times. So try to be a little bit more spectacular, throughout the match. I think wouldn't be the worst idea.
I feel like he's getting over, though. I mean, the crowd.
No, he definitely is. He is
at his shit. So,
and he's improving, and he's getting better. Obviously, working better wrestlers, working in front of a better environment is going to help you get better. But you could see it already in a couple of months. He's solid.
Well, I mean, he's working here. He's working Rev Pro. He worked the Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor show. He gets booked and he gets around, and he's working different kinds of shows in front of different kinds of crowds. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to improve. I mean, you keep working Game Changer scrambles, you're not going to get any better. But this guy's, working all over the world, and, eventually it'll pay off. He did a little commentary at the English table, too. They brought him into the commentary table.
Yeah, he was good. Not so what I expected his voice to sound like at all, but it was, yeah.
What'd you expect? What'd you think he was going to sound like? Stan Hansen?
I don't know what I thought Ninja Mac was going to sound like, but like soft-spoken, like Texan is not what I had in my on my cards. So,
yeah, Northeastern in Texas via the Northeast, maybe even New Jersey.
Yeah, he's got a very interesting. Yeah, he's got an interesting
following my path
dialect. Yeah, I was going to say, are you Ninja Mac? I've never seen you two in the same place, to be honest.
I'm not, I won't confirm or
you
deny.
seem to have these Noah scoops all. Yeah, you know what? Hold on a minute.
Listen, stop connecting dots.
Hold on a minute.
Stop connecting dots. Don't go down this road.
He was soft-spoken, though, and that, it's not. No one has ever called you soft-spoken. I don't think so.
Not after the last half hour. My voice is dead now, too. I got to do TV reviews tomorrow. Masato Tanaka and Rob Van Dam over Nosawa and Super Crazy. Rob Van Dam is a perfectly acceptable. What is he, 50? I don't even know how old he is.
Let me see how old RVD is these days. 51 years old. He's a damn good-looking 51-year-old, so.
I know they don't have rights to that theme music.
I know, I thought the same thing. He wins the match. It's one of a kind. And I'm like, you do not have the rights to that WWE original theme song. I am positive you don't. Like, I don't know. That's. I laughed my ass off when I heard. I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, well, I mean, yeah. I was gonna say they played Final Countdown earlier. I'm sure Europe didn't get a taste of that.
Well, yeah, especially now that we know it's Bryan Danielson just said it was $200,000, and you play it like you can only play it 20 times a year or something like this, something absurd. And Noah didn't pay Europe for that song. And it's like, I don't think they paid $200,000 to play it the 6 times for, Muto's final 6 matches. I mean, are they doing the Paul Heyman thing where they just like daring them?
Yeah, fuck it. Until they find out. Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll deal with it when they find out. But until then, who cares?
Or are they doing the UFC thing where if you do it as just background arena music, it doesn't count. It only counts if you're specifically. So what UFC does is they claim it's just arena music, and it's like it doesn't. You don't need to pay for rights in that case. It's like some subtle difference in the copyright law or something. I don't know what they're doing.
I would say playing RVD's WWE theme is under none of those whatsoever. So,
and I know they didn't pay Europe either. They did not pay Europe. Everything else was just tags. I mean, you had Shiozaki Fujita and Takashi Sagara over Nakajima, Manabu Soya, and Masakatsu Funaki in the 6-man match of people we usually push who we had nothing for on this show bout. Is what that was.
I did enjoy Nakajima and Shiozaki went in there and just beat the shit out of each other for like 8 minutes. That was pretty cool. But then,
yeah, why not? I was surprised Nakajima didn't take the fall. Maybe listen, in this backwards company, maybe he's not in the doghouse for knocking that kid out. Maybe he's like going to get a push for knocking the kid out. Like, who knows with Noah. But because Soya took the fall here, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah, Soya. It was Fujita beat Soya. Yeah.
Yeah. Eita and Kotaro Suzuki. I mean, they kind of squashed Ogawa and Yuya Sutsuma
They
here.
did. Yeah, they really
and
did.
then they fucking stood on their chests after the match and everything. So that was kind of fun. And then we had the was it a 10 or 12 man tag with all the leftovers? All the guys
just all the Stallion Rogers and Anthony Green and Rene Dupree and a bunch of
Simon
other
Gotch.
dudes. Yeah, just dudes. Just a lot of dudes. So
Hio Del Wagner. I think it was 10 man tag.
Yes. Yeah, 10 man.
You know, I could pull up the run sheet and just read it. 10 man tag. Daiki Inaba, Sakuraba, Kinya Okada, Masaki Mochizuki, and Taniguchi. Anthony Green scored the fall, correct?
I think, yes, he pinned Okada, which is...
If my memory is correct.
If you would give me all these names, I don't think I would have ended up with, you know who's going to get the pinfall win? Anthony Green.
Well, look at the rest of the team. Why not?
I mean, I agree, but it's like, I'm kind of surprised they would give it to Anthony Green, but okay.
You know, maybe they're going to push these... well, he's in the N1, right?
Yeah, they like it. They put him on commentary. They clearly see something in him, so good. That's fine with me. I don't mind Anthony Green.
Push someone new. I don't have a problem with
argument here, yeah.
Fuck it, you know, push all 5 of those guys. I don't give it. Well, they already pushed Wagner and Dupree.
I don't know that I need a Rene Dupree push in 2022.
They've been tag champs already, though, so they're kind of already pushed. You can push Simon Gotch and his droopy nipples. I don't have a problem with that. Go ahead. I mean, I think he fits the tone of the promotion too. I mean, you know, Stallion Rogers, nice little worker. I don't know. Then the opener, Hajime Ohara. High 69 is back, Rich. Remember, he lost the match and lost his name. And Suji Kondo, who we'd see later on, Tarasuke, and they defeat Atsushi Katoge, Daisuke Harada, Extreme Tiger, and Yohei in the junior version of the Shiozaki match of guys we don't have anything for on this show who sometimes we normally push. Right. So, and it was a perfectly fine 10-minute opener with all those junior dudes. And that was the show. And as an overall package, I mean, for a 4-hour show, I mean, I enjoyed just about all of it for what it was. A couple of the matches were pretty good. And, I didn't like the Muto match at all. I mean, I would generously call that a 2-star match. I thought Muto was so bad that you can't go any higher than that. But seems as though I'm an outlier. Cage Match loves that fucking match. Grapple's not quite as high on it. They went, I think the grapple average right now is 3.7. But Cage Match is, brushing up against the 9, which is like a 4.5-star match, which whatever. If you're a Muto mark, maybe that's fine. But outside of that debacle, I thought the rest of the show was pretty decent and a pretty light watch considering it was a 4-hour show.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I didn't feel like I wasted any time, and no production is so good at this point. Wrestle Universe is so smooth to watch and stuff. So, I worked for me. Fun show, but yeah, there was some stuff obviously that I had some beef with here and there. But for the most part, this was a enjoyable show, and Noah's nothing if not newsworthy now, so we'll stick with Noah for now. But let's get.
Our review gave it 4 stars, just to show that it's like, this other idea too. It's like people sending us tweets and stuff. What's Voices of Wrestling going to say? Well, there's like a bunch of people here,
right? It's not just us.
We don't get together collectively and decide.
All right, so Gerard, you hate this match. Okay, we're going to talk about how much we hated it, and it doesn't go like that.
Has Griffin chimed in? No, we don't. It's just everyone just gives a fucking opinion. I mean, I don't. Whatever. I fucking hated it, and our review.
I went 3 3/4 with it, so I didn't hate it as much as you did.
Well, see, there you go.
Got together and decided. Yeah, I love that. Voices Wrestling up to their old tricks again. Get out of here, you dorks. Anyway, Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor is this weekend, Joe. July 23rd from Lowell, Mass. The first real Tony Khan booked and led Ring of Honor show. You were going to do an instant reaction, not live. This weekend, I'm going to be at a beach. I will not be watching the show. Yes.
Yeah, I don't mean to cut you off. Should we do the N1 brackets real quick?
Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
All right, yeah. So let's go over those
in front of you. I meant to put that in my notes and then I forgot to. So
hold on, I'll pull them up. Professional operation.
I had them and then I didn't have them, but I can get them again if you need, if you're not able to find them. So,
well, it's whoever
gets there first. I think I'm already there.
Google's faster. I've got it here. So
Okay,
we've got. Hold on, I want to make sure I click a link to a site that I don't hate. For the hit.
I have it. If you're ready, I found a site that I don't hate. So.
This is important to me. Okay, the A block. No, actually, I really hate the person who wrote this article. So I already clicked it, though, so I guess it doesn't matter. I'll tell you who it was off air.
I already know. I'm already probably on the same site.
I hate that fucking guy. Fucking aggregators are so useless. Kano, Kazuyuki Fujita, Go Shiozaki, Masato Tanaka, Masaki Mochizuki, who I don't think is ever going back to Dragon Gate.
Yeah, what the hell? No one's on the Dragon Gate roster. Like, everyone's elsewhere. Everyone's other places. I don't know why they're not in Dragon Gate.
He's a better fit here, honestly. Hideki Suzuki, El Hijo D. Dr. Wagner Jr., and Anthony Green. That is your A block, and that's a loaded block.
That's a hell of a lineup there. Yeah, you're getting Kano versus Shiozaki. You're getting Kano versus Masato Tanaka. Kano versus Mochizuki. Go Shiozaki versus Mochizuki.
I think Hideki Suzuki matches up with some of these guys real well. Anthony Green's going to work his ass off. So
that's a hell of a spot. Think about Anthony Green, too. You're Anthony Green. You're about to have a tournament where you're going to face Kano for whatever he's worth, Fujita, Go Shiozaki, Tanaka, Mochizuki. Those are some dudes.
B block, Masakatsu Funaki, Kaito Kiyomia, Nakajima, Takashi Sagura, Masa Kitamiya, Satoshi Kojima, Tim Thatcher, and Jack Morris.
Yes, a surprise. Minnesota Twins legend Jack Morris here.
Yes. Once pitched a 10-inning complete game in the World Series.
Yes, he did.
I don't know a thing
recently
about
Hall of Famer, right?
Morris.
Finally got in the Hall. Finally
got in. Ago, yeah. Probably shouldn't have, but probably got.
Yeah, no, he really shouldn't have. To be honest, I hate to be that guy, but
winningest pitcher of the '80s, if that your needle.
Not really.
That just kind of means you pitched the whole decade, right?
Right. He just pitched a lot and pitched through the whole decade, so was on good teams.
That 10-inning World Series game got him in the Hall of Fame.
No, for sure, and that's an all-time great, like just big dick
performance
too. Just nah.
Gigantic.
I ain't getting out of this fucking game. Like, I'm winning this fucking game for us. So
you take this ball, I'll fucking kill you. So,
I do appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now in the postseason, you go 4 1/3.
Yeah, Blake Snell was fined for 2 innings, and they told him, "Get out of here! You're about to face somebody for the 3rd time. Please, can I?"
As soon as the runner reaches second base,
right, can I please stay in? No, all right.
So I can't give you anything on Jack Morris, and I'm not going to pretend to. But that's this is a good tournament because I think that's a good block too. I mean, Kiyomiya, Nakajima, Kojima, Sugera, and Thatcher are going to all have good matches against each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then Masa Kitamiya can step up against those guys. I don't know what you're getting out of Masakatsu Funaki in 2022. So we'll leave him out of this. And I don't know a thing about Jack Morris other than he's a good-looking guy. He's got
a nice chin on the kid. Yeah,
he's got a nice physique, from what I can tell. But, we'll find out real fast if he can work. He's going to be in there with some grumpy motherfuckers, Nakajima and Sagara and fucking Tim Thatcher. They're not going to put up with any bullshit if this guy stinks. I can promise you that. But no, the N1 looks really good. I mean, this is a tournament I'm definitely going to pay attention to. I mean, there's not a lot of dead weight in this thing. So anyway, that's anything else?
No, I think my exact thought when it was done was like, wow, pretty much every matchup the entire tournament I'm into in some way. Like even Fujita and Hideki Suzuki I'm into just for the perverse of like, what the hell's that going to look like? But otherwise, every other match is like, I think that B block, like you were talking about the A block and how great it is. I think the B block is awesome. Like there's no bullshit. There's no politics in that one. It's just dudes going out and working. Funaki, Kiyomiya, Nakajima, Sagura, Kitamiya, Kojima, Thatcher, Jack Moore. I mean, those are just dudes. Those are just dudes that are just going to go out there and wrestle. And I like that. I like how that's going to look. So I'm interested to see how the dynamics work. This is a hell of an N1. A hell of an N1. So I am going to be keeping up with it as much as I possibly can.
no Muto in there, politicking draws.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right. It's a really good lineup. So we'll see.
There's not a bad match in that B block. I mean, I don't know what Jack Morris is going to bring, but excluding him because I don't know, there's not a bad match out there.
No, I mean, again, Funaki, you don't know what you're going to get. But
he's in there. Every other guy he's going to be in there with, I think, is pretty, like, the worst possible Funaki match is going to be, like, I don't know, what, versus Kitamiya?
Yeah, but it's going to be up to him whether they're going to go or not.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. That's why I say that. Like, it's going to be up to him whether he's going to pick and choose who he really wants to work hard with and who he wants to just, have a 7-minute match. And so that's why I kind of just leave him out of it. But no, the B block's good. Probably a little bit better than I don't know. I mean, because Masato Tanaka is another one. He's going to age eventually. How hard does he want to go each night of this thing, Masato Tanaka? So, you don't know what you're going to get night to night out of him in the A block. But, on paper, this looks like a really good tournament, a real interesting tournament. Maybe I'm a fool. I'm going to pick Kiyomia. I'm going to go off the premise that they think that this Muto thing went well and this is now the time to push him again. And with Kano as the champion, I think they're going to build to Kiyomia Kano. I might sound like I might end up sounding like a total rube, It might end up, being Kaz Fujita for all I know coming out of this thing because it is Noah and you never know. But having Hideki Suzuki in any tournament format,
I was going to say, always throws a wrench in the plans.
Like, I don't think he'll win, but he can certainly fuck with your plans. I mean, if he decides, that certain things aren't going to work for him, brother. So I noticed Hideki is in the opposite block of Nakajima, though, which is
probably for the better.
Yeah, definitely for the better. I would have liked to have seen Hideki wrestle Thatcher, though, but they split the team up and put him in opposite blocks. I also would have been curious if Hideki would have shown some respect to Kojima. That would have been interesting to see, too. But, I don't know. Good-looking tournament. Starts in August.
Yeah.
I guess I forgot Kojima was in this, so, yeah, I mean, he's still going to be working full tours.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I was, watching him come out here to this Noah show and he's in the main event and there's fireworks behind him and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, dude, I don't think I'd go back to New Japan if I were him. Do you really want to be working undercards, in these random, I was like, it's a pretty good gig for you to, kind of, end your run here. So I don't know.
Yeah. So, I was told that Elgin was originally in the lineup, but whatever the fuck is happening with him,
I'd imagine Anthony Green is probably the guy that took his spot, right?
I don't know, but I know that he was in the original lineup. So, yeah, maybe they gave it to Green. Good for Green if he got his spot. Now, I know you're not allowed to say, but you heard a different story than the protein powder.
Yes. And I think Dave Meltzer also heard a different story. And I don't know if it's the same story that I heard, but he definitely said that it wasn't the protein powder. Michael Elgin on various platforms, I forget if it was on Facebook or Twitter or whatever the hell.
Elgin himself says it's not the protein powder.
It's not the protein powder, yeah. And I heard from people that I trust very, very, very much that it is not protein powder that is the issue. It is something related to a gym, and that's what Dave Meltzer said at the same time as well, that there was an incident in a gym, and that is all that he knows. So
See, now I know you can't say because wrestling politics and you're not allowed to say what you were told. I get that. But this is why I believe it's not the protein powder either. I think the protein powder became like a telephone game thing.
Yeah.
And because it sounded funny and nobody likes Elgin, they ran with it. Because even Jeff Cobb was joking about protein powder even before the story broke at the G1 presser. So I think that's where the protein powder story came from. But when Meltzer came out and said that it wasn't protein powder and it was something having to do with a gym, I remembered what you told me, even before last week's Flagship privately, that it was something other than protein powder. Here's the bottom line, though. He did something really stupid, regardless of what it
no
was.
matter what the item was that he stole, or whatever the incident was, he did something stupid, and he's ruined his absolute last chance at making it in pro wrestling. So,
but Meltzer's story matched what you were told 8 days ago, or whatever, 7 days ago, however long ago that was, 6-7 days ago. So that's why I tend to believe that. Now, look, this is a small detail because he fucked up again, and he's a knucklehead, and whatever the real story is, he's a fucking dunce. That's the bottom line here. But he says it wasn't protein powder, and he's pretty indignant about it. And I understand it's Michael Elgin, and you could take his word at less than fucking a grain of salt. But you got a different story than protein powder. Dave got a different story than protein powder, which very closely matched whatever your story was. So I tend to think it wasn't like a canister of protein powder.
right. Which also would make no sense whatsoever.
It wouldn't make any sense, no. And
not that this thing that I heard made sense either, but it makes more sense than him stealing a carton of protein powder.
Yeah, or if he got in a dispute in a gym or something, but the bottom line is those two stories are closer related than the protein powder. I think the protein powder thing, I genuinely think that just became a telephone game thing, and it was a fun story to bury the guy, make fun of
to dunk on Mike Elgin one more time.
So then it picked up steam, and it became it gathered momentum because it's funny that the idea of him walking into a Japanese fucking GNC and sticking protein powder, down his shirt, like why would he need to do that?
Yeah.
But anyway, the point here is
no matter what the incident is, the answer is probably why did he need to do that is probably the answer to any of the issues that came up.
Right, like the versions you heard, they're not
also
any
why
better.
did you need to do that? Yes.
Yeah, they're not. They don't reflect any better on Elgin than the protein powder.
They're just not as funny. They're not as funny as him stealing, a thing of a protein powder.
I could totally see this being something where someone was like, yeah, I heard he stole mystery item X that you're not allowed to say because wrestling is dumb. This guy out here stealing fucking protein powder, like as a throw.
Yeah.
And
what's
then
next? He's going to steal protein powder? Why did he steal the protein powder? Yeah.
Yes. And then that
if he's going to steal
story.
X, why did he just steal some protein powder while he's at it? Yeah. And then it became.
Yeah. And you're dealing with two different languages on top of it. Forget it. But bottom line is he's a dope. He's out of the N1. He's burning lots of bridges very quickly.
There's no what bridges left? There's no bridges left anymore.
Where can he go? Big Japan? Can they
Japan
afford
and
him?
Mexico is about his. Well, he might not. I don't know if he can go to Big Japan. I don't know that he's welcomed back in Japan moving forward. So
right, like we're working on the prem. Well,
it's possible he said get the fuck out of here and never come back, and he went okay. And
it is possible. You're right. And in his statement, he didn't say like I'll be back in Japan. He didn't say anything like that. He didn't say I'll be back in Noah. He didn't say I'll be back in Japan. But yeah, in America, no one's gonna touch him. Ian Rotten's out of business. That's the only guy that was still booking him on a semi-notable level. I know he does tiny indies, the kind that barely make a cage match, and some that don't. But major indies can't touch him. Obviously, the TV promotions aren't going near him. He's suing Impact. Tony Khan controls two of the three biggest promotions in America. Khan's not touching him. WWE's not touching him. New Japan's not touching him. Noah is probably not going to touch him after this. He may not be able to go back into Japan. So, yeah, what is left?
Mexico.
Like you said, Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico's it.
He's going to – what's left is –
him and what's his face? Travis Banks and Marty.
Yeah, he's on the Travis Banks fucking junket is what's left. Random German or Puerto Rican indies that are booking Marty Scurll. Like that's what's left for this.
Mm-hmm.
Even after all of this, he had a good thing going with Noah, and he found a way to fuck it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Oh, man. Well, let's move on to Ring of Honor here. We got a couple more minutes left, so we'll do a quick Ring of Honor thing, and then we'll, if we get a chance, we'll talk Ric Flair's last match. If not, we can just push that over to next week as well because we have time for that. But Ring of Honor this weekend, Death Before Dishonor, July 23rd, Lowell, Mass. As I said, Joe is going to do an instant reaction not live. I will be at a beach, so I will not be watching Death Before Dishonor, but live. So we're not going to be able to do Instant Reaction live, but you are going to watch the show Saturday night. And then at some point over the next couple days or the next day or so, have an Instant Reaction up there. So it will not be live, but
I'll have the Instant Reaction will be up in the wee hours that night.
Okay, so you're going to do it right after the show then?
Was it Saturday the show?
Yes, Saturday night.
Yeah, so, and by the way, it is on traditional pay-per-view, which the last time we talked about this show, we weren't positive about that because they were pushing Bleacher Report. But now in the latest press release, they've said Bleacher Report, traditional pay-per-view, and some other fucking outlet. I don't think Fight, something else. But
in
the
Europe,
point here is,
Europe, you can do Fight. You can't do Fight in America. And if you're thinking, well, yeah, what about I do not think they've smartened up to that, so you're not going to be able to use a VPN.
Oh, the VPNs and shit?
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, it's just not working anymore. Yeah, no, they shut. Yeah, for Fight has gotten very good with that. I'm looking at DirecTV channel 123. It is on. You get HD, or for some reason you could pay the same exact price and get standard definition. If
you're weird and like things to suck. Yeah, you can do that.
$39.99. So that's cheaper than the AEW pay-per-views, which I believe are $49.99.
Correct.
So
yeah, they're $49.
I was terrified that this was just going to be on Bleacher Report, and I did not have good experiences with that streaming service.
No, and I've heard Bleacher Report is better now, but I'm still terrified too, and I never want to have to go through it again. Like it was not good the first time, and my biggest phobia is like sitting down and watching a show and then it not working. I'm too triggered from like the days 10 years ago on the if I could buy it if I can click two buttons on my cable and it just shows up in the best quality possible on my giant TV, I will pay $39 for it. It's fine.
I'm picking cable over streaming 1,000% of the time.
Every single time.
They're both an option.
Yep.
Every time. No doubt about that. And people could say that's an old person thing. I don't agree. I think that's just a logical thing. If you're presented with both options, it's more stable.
I just know the cable's always going to work, and I don't always know the streaming's going to work. So,
correct. So that's good. Now, this live show is on Wednesday, head-to-head with Dynamite. And I do not do Dynamite spoilers when we do the show on Wednesday. I don't know if Rich is watching the show in the background.
I did watch it, but I will not spoil you.
So all we know as we do this show live is the 5 matches that have been announced as of this live recording.
As far as I could tell watching the show, no, from the side, it did not appear that any new matches had been added. So,
okay, so FTR and the Briscoes are going 90 minutes, best 2 out of 3 falls.
Yeah, I think they might. I don't see any reason. Actually, one sec. No, they did add 2 matches. So do you care if I...
Well,
one is a pre-show match and one is a tag match.
You're looking at them, and you were watching Dynamite without the sound. Do you think it's going to spoil anything on Dynamite for me if you tell me the match?
No.
I would like to hear. Then I would like to hear the new matches.
Okay, so the full card for Death Before Dishonor this Saturday is in the main event. Presumably maybe not the main event, but the match that I think everybody is really watching the show for. FTR versus the Briscoes, 2 out of 3 falls, ROH tag team titles. That, as you said, it's going to be very difficult to meet what they did, at WrestleMania weekend. Are they going to be able to do that? I have no idea. This match is probably going to go for a while. 2 out of 3 falls is by its very nature going to be a longer match. And I don't know. I'm very excited to see if they can follow up what they did at WrestleMania weekend. I feel like that was lightning in a bottle. That was like an all-time great match. But these are 2 all-time great tag teams, so I don't doubt that they might be able to do it. So we'll see. I would bet against them being able to do that just because that match was like tremendously special. But hey, we'll find out.
Well, the Briscoes have the gimmick in ROH where they win 2 consecutive falls.
Yeah, they did that a lot over the years. So I don't think that's going to happen here, but you never know. So
I would bet my life they win the first fall.
They're not doing yeah. Oh, yeah.
I would bet my life they win the first fall.
To set that up for them to say, oh, my God, the Briscoes used to win a bunch of, 2 out of 3 fall matches. Yeah, I agree.
And the story will be – and I don't completely write off the idea that they could win 2 in a row and keep that going. And then set up the 3rd match, obviously. So, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to this whole show. I'm looking forward to ROH, period.
Yeah, this show looks tremendous. This show looks great. I think ROH, the muscle behind it's been good. The marketing muscle behind it's been good. They've cleaned up a lot of their production stuff. I'm excited to see what the show itself looks like. Like, I can't wait. I cannot wait to see what this is. And if this is what like the future of Ring of Honor is going to look like, it looks cool as fuck. So I'm in all the way. Yep. So FTR Briscoes, Jonathan Gresham defending the ROH World Championship against Claudio Castagnoli. Claudio getting an ROH World title shot right out of the gates. This Ring of Honor rocks, dude. This Ring of Honor is awesome.
You know,
look at this.
did
Claudio
you watch
versus Gresham. Fuck yeah, let's go.
Did you watch the hype special or whatever you call them?
Yeah, which they did a tremendous job with too.
I love that they're setting up the story that Claudio has not only never been a world champion, but the two opportunities he had, they were like, oh, first it was Nigel McGuinness, which was just a bad matchup for Castagnoli. And then I forget who the second, may have been Morishima, actually, was his second crack, whoever it was. But telling the story of he only had a couple the point was he only had a couple shots at the title, and they were just bad matchups stylistically. And then he's never been able to win a world title since, and this is his shot. The only thing I don't like about this is I feel like he has to win. I feel like he has to beat Gresham, and I feel like this story is rushed. The story of can Claudio finally grab the brass ring and become a world champion? I mean, we're getting on a 11-day build. I mean, he just walked out on a Rampage or whatever last Friday, you know, and they just did that promo with Hagar on the previous Dynamite where Hagar mocked him for never being a world champion. Man, I don't know. I feel like you can get more out of that story than
it does
fucking
feel very
11-day
rushed. And it's a match that I forgot was even happening until like I was reading or I was watching the hype video and I'm like, oh yeah, right. Gresham versus Claudio. Like, oh, yeah. Because it's been like, so if you missed like a week of television, you missed this entire build and this entire story. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. Maybe they don't have Claudio win, but I feel like everything is pointing towards Claudio winning. I'm interested to see because I think it's a really.
I think it'd be weird if he loses because he feels like he has so much momentum and he's so over right now. And I don't think it's the right time for him to lose a match, but I also don't think it's the right time for him to end this story and win a world title.
Right. I agree. And maybe they have a creative way around this. Maybe it's in the middle of the show so that they can get away with a fuck finish or something like that, or a double pin or, you know, something like that to build to a rematch or something. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Cause yeah, I'm assuming Claudio just fucking uppercuts him and pins him and gets wins the title. But I don't know. I think that'd be that there's good and bads about that as well. So I don't know.
Now I'm not trying to be funny. I'm really not trying to be funny. Aren't they going to look weird together in the same ring? He's going to tower.
Oh, he's going to be. Yeah, he's like a full foot taller than Jonathan.
Gresham's like 5'1".
Yeah, it's a problem with Gresham when he's going to be here with like these types of dudes. You know what I mean? Like when he was on the Indies or you know Ring of Honor prior, he could get by, but like. These dudes are going to be massive.
Castagnoli's
especially
monster.
Claudio. Especially Claudio's like his body type too just lends himself to looking taller. I mean, he's already a tall guy, but his body makes him look like 5 inches taller too. He is like legit. I think they announced him as 6'5", right? Like, and he's all of that too. I don't know if you ever stood next to him or stood like.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a legit 6'5", but
I don't think he's 6'5", but
foot.
he's tall as fuck. He's 6'2", 6'3", easily,
somewhere in that range.
Easily,
for sure. Yeah, because they used to ROH used to bill Brody Lee as 7 foot, and he would like be, you know, coming down to the ring or brawling in the crowd, and like he'd be like barely taller than like Bob Stryker, who I'd go to the show with. He's like 6'1", and it's like they'd bill him at like 7 foot, but he was really like 6'5" or something. And
right.
So Claudio must be like 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah, I think I'd put him in the 6'2", 6'3" range. He's definitely taller than me, but not by a ton. So.
Yeah.
Then we have Jay Lethal versus Samoa Joe for the ROH TV title. Looking forward to that match as well. Samoa Joe, the champion, defending it against Jay Lethal. ROH Pure Championship, Wheeler Yuta defending the title against Daniel Garcia, about a year removed from their Independent Wrestling TV match. That was tremendous. This could be Pure Wrestling Rules. Both these guys are perfect dudes to do Pure Wrestling Rules too. So I'm really, really excited to see that. It has the potential to be one of the best ROH Pure matches ever, I'd say. All right. You want me to give you 2 of the added matches here?
Did you see the sit down face to face with Utah and Garcia?
Was that on that same hype video or no?
Well, you may have just seen a hype video for the world title match.
Maybe.
But there's an
I did not see this sit down, I guess, then.
There's a 35-minute YouTube video they have up that hypes all the matches.
Okay,
they have
I'll check that out before then. Maybe
it's
worth.
No,
you know what? I did watch a few of them, but I didn't watch the whole video. I was looking for a whole video, and I guess I missed it. So I'll have to check that out before Saturday.
Well worth your time. Those, they do a sit down face to face with I think Shivani is the moderator, and it'll get you into that match. I didn't love their 60-minute draw. I think we talked about it on this show at the time too. I didn't love their 60-minute draw. I thought they ran out of ideas in that match, but they're not going to go 60 here, and I think the pure rules are tailor made for these guys. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, you are in luck, Joe. You're probably thinking, man, is Balloon Guy going to get a shot here? Where's Balloon Guy? Balloon Guy is going to be here because the ROH 6-man titles are on the line. The Righteous versus Dalton Castle and the Boys.
Hold on. Is this a decision match?
What do you mean a decision match?
Neither one of those teams are the 6-man champions, correct?
I am going to be honest that I don't know who the ROH 6-man champions are.
I think it was I could be mistaken since we haven't seen those titles.
It says the Righteous are the champions on the thing that I'm looking at. So
okay, I'm wrong then. I thought that
the Righteous won them December 11, 2021 at Final Battle.
Got it.
Vincent Bateman and Dutch, your boy Dutch.
I thought Shane Taylor Promotions were still the champs, and because Shane Taylor shit talked, or Tony Khan, not directly, but the passive aggressive tweets that he made, and they broke him up anyway because they put one of the guys on that team with Tully Blanchard, but it doesn't matter because I forgot that they lost the titles. Yeah. Okay, so the Righteous against who's the challengers
Dalton
here?
Castle and the Boys.
Oh, Dalton Castle and the Boys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hell of a match.
This is going to be the Tate twins, the original Boys. You got a picture of these guys?
It better be. I'm guessing. Let me see. I again, like I said, I was watching only a little bit. Let me see if it's a Tate. It does appear to be the Tate twins. Let's go. Hell yeah.
All right.
The Tate twins are the better. I mean, they're the best boys. Let's be honest. Those guys rocked.
Yeah. All right. Good. Okay.
Yeah, the graphic shows the Tate boys, so hopefully it's them. So.
Is that on the show or is that the pre-show?
That says show because there is a pre-show match that they added. Willow Nightingale versus Allison Kay is on the pre-show.
All right, whatever. But I think there's room for more. I mean, that's only 6 matches on a 3-hour main show.
Right. And I didn't get the last one. I did not mention there. Mercedes Martinez defending the ROH Women's title against Serena Deeb, and then that is it. That is the entire card. I'm looking
forward to because I think that could be if they're both having a good night, that could be a really good match. The thing about that is I think Mercedes Martinez is a little past her prime, and I think she's more reputation than reality at this point. I don't think she's been great in AEW. I think she's been good, but not great. Deeb has been outstanding almost from the jump, I think, and the match has been well built. But that's still only 6 matches on a 3-hour show.
Yeah, so either FTR and Briscoes are going 90, like you said, or we got to have something else on here. So
we still have a Rampage. Where they can do something, and they could also just add something day of. It's not like
they might time it out and say, all right, who's here? Let's go around. A bunch of wrestlers. Hey, show up because we might need you, and then you figure out what to.
Brian Cage can squash somebody again, or Tully's tag team.
I forgot about Cage. Yeah, they got to find something for Cage to do in this show. So
yeah, I mean those guys will probably be ringside with Gresham, but. You could give those guys. You could even put Cage in a 6-man with the other Tully Blanchard Enterprise guys, and I would be willing to bet they're going to add something to that show.
I think too. They're probably going to time the thing out and then figure out, okay, we have a few minutes here, a few minutes here, a few minutes here. Okay, yeah, we'll add this, we'll add that. Well, we'll time. You don't need to announce every single match that's going to be on the show. You can have a few show up, be the night of or whatever. So yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be a lot of fun.
No, it looks like a great card. I've been very, very happy with everything I've seen from Ring of Honor so far in the Tony Khan era. It seems like something that he really cares about. They've done really good. Like I said, the production has been really solid. The graphics have been pretty good. The hype videos that I saw were really solid. I'm going to watch the whole thing like you said. So yeah, I'm excited about this. It does definitely seem like something that he's excited about, and the marketing muscle's been put behind it. I think it's going to do a good number, and I think it's going to be a fun as hell show. So
First show, Supercard of Honor did 20,000. This one's going to top that because they've had a lot of promotion on Dynamite and Rampage.
Yeah, they've been promoting on Dynamite for 4 weeks at this point.
So this will give us a better baseline of what we can expect of these shows before they get their own TV. And then when they get their own TV, then we'll have a new baseline after that. So this will tell us what they can get piggybacking off of AEW TV. I couldn't even wager a guess. I could tell you it's going to do more than the 20,000 Supercard of Honor did, but it's going to obviously do less than any AEW pay-per-view has ever done. So what did those first few do? Like 70, 80,000 or something like that. Yeah. I would think it would do less than that, but more than the 20. Do you think they can double it? Would you be as bold as to say 40?
I think they could double it.
I think they could double it too. I don't think 40's out of the question.
No.
I don't think 40's out of the question. I wouldn't guess anything high. I think anything higher than 40,000 is a fucking home run.
Yeah, I would say 50,000 would probably be about the highest I could possibly go, and that's
50,000 would be a massive success.
Yeah,
I would say because you're doubling.
Right,
you're more than doubling at that point. I think 40's optimistic. 50 is,
everyone's in the room celebrating if it's 50,000.
Oh, because then if you get TV, I mean, now you're talking about doing 80, 90 with your own TV, and they're going to have big, they're going to move big stars to that brand eventually when they have TV. So 50 would be, outrageous, but I don't think 40 is impossible. It's a really hard prediction to make, though. But yeah, looking forward to it. I can't wait for them to get TV. I'm very optimistic about the future of Ring of Honor. There's a media call tomorrow. So if you're on the $5 tier, maybe, I guess very few people will hear this show before the media call. But if you happen to hear this show, the free version of this show before the media call, we will have the call up with the notes. We will have notes up and our thoughts on the media call, plus a audio recording of the video call up. That'll be $5 tier. So I guess if you listen to the show at some point over the weekend, if you want to listen to the media call after the pay-per-view happens, if you want to do that, we'll knock yourself out. It'll be there. So busy day tomorrow. We'll have the media call, notes up behind the paywall. We'll have the TV reviews. So
new Beach Bash should be coming pretty soon too. Next few days. New
Beach Bash. There you go. And I'm working on some other stuff too that'll be up on man. We get too much we got to start raising these prices.
We really do. We're dumb as hell. Really underpriced ourselves here, but it is what it is. So, all right. We are not going to get to Ric Flair's last match show here. We'll do that next week. We'll do an earnest preview of it because it is coming up next week as well. So I thought we would need it, but we didn't need it this time. So we'll talk about it next time. It's not going anywhere. It'll be there next week. So
did you see the angle to set up the match? Did you happen to see that?
I did.
The parking lot beating.
Yeah. I want to not like any of things that are going on, but I don't know. It's
kind of preposterous. The whole
it's fucking absurd. Yeah.
Like, Jay Lethal's annoyed that Flair didn't acknowledge him at the presser, and then he beats him up. Jeff Jarrett just happens to be walking by.
Hey, whoa, what's going on here? And then he goes,
leave him alone, Jay. Leave that old man alone, right? but then Flair goes heel on Jarrett. He's like, I don't need your help. So then Jarrett's like, all right, well, fuck you then. And then he beats him up. Like, the whole thing was ridiculous.
And then Karen's wearing a white dress. There's blood all over. There's a man who has a pacemaker and is on blood thinners, just pouring blood all over all these people. And I'm like, oh my God.
They're all wearing white. So, like, you knew what was coming. Every person's wearing white.
Not that many. You'd never find 5 people all wearing white at the same time. They found 5 people all wearing white at the same time. And
Lethal's got the Bryan Danielson white t-shirt on. And...
Karen Jarrett just wearing the whitest dress you've ever seen in your life. Oh,
yeah,
God.
And then he decides to beat up Flair too, which I can't blame him for because Flair mouthed off to him for some reason.
Yeah, I was trying to help him, and he's like, "All right, dude, fuck off then. I don't care."
The best line in the whole Jarrett turned to David Crockett and he goes, "My old man never liked you anyway."
Yes. It's so carny. It's so fucking carny. Good God. This guy has a pacemaker. Why is he wrestling? He said you could just He said you could turn the pacemaker off and turn it back on. I said that to the nurse, and she said, "No, you cannot. That's not how it works." He said, "I'll just stop taking blood thinners that day, and then I'll take them again." That's not also how it works.
It's
Your
all
blood can't
laughs till
clot.
he's dead.
Your blood can't clot if you're not on blood thinners.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all fun and games till he dies. You know, all fun and games.
The nurse has asked me a few times, "Hey, when's that Ric Flair thing?" I think she wants to see, like, this man's gonna really try to wrestle, like turning his like she's interested in seeing, like, perversely, like, can this man defy science on this night?
Yeah.
And, I mean, I tell her that Ric Flair has defied science before. I mean, there was the one time, remember the time, and I think we were doing the show at this time, where he had the blood clot in Japan, and they said, you should not fly home and you should get surgery. And he said, fuck it, I'm Ric Flair, I'm flying home. Yeah. And Dave Meltzer did the show where he said, when this plane lands, we are likely going to know that Ric Flair passed away or that he's in horrible whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
He got off the plane strutting, nothing problem. Never a problem.
Yep.
The man flew with a blood clot for 20 hours or whatever. Gets off the plane, he's Ric Flair. It's just, you know.
You know, I saw
if anybody
someone
can turn their pacemaker off and then turn it back on and wrestle a match, then it's Richard Flairs for sure.
I saw someone make a real good point though. Like, Jay Lethal probably can't beat Samoa Joe because then Lethal has to lose to Ric Flair.
Oh no, there's a ton of weird politics in this that don't make any sense, and I'm not sure how this ends.
Yeah, I guess we'll save it for next week. But
yeah. Absolutely absurd.
Anyway, good looking card though. Good looking card.
Great looking card. My old man never liked you anyway.
What a great line that was.
Jarrett's the best, man. I love him. Yeah. I love him.
He's punching Flair's face in. Flair's bleeding like a stuck pig. Better back off, Crockett. My daddy never liked you anyway. My old man, yeah. My old man never liked you anyway. Yeah. It's a great line.
Oh my god. All right. Wrestling is the best. It's so carny. It's so trashy. It's the worst.
Yeah.
But it's also the best. All right, that is it for us. That is Joe. I am Rich. VoicesOfWrestling.com, Voice of Wrestling Podcast Network, for reviews, previews, columns, all that other good stuff. Make sure you subscribe to the Voice of Wrestling Podcast Network, as well as the Flagship podcast feed on your podcast app of choice. And then, as we mentioned, Flagship, Patreon.com, Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling, VoicesOfWrestling.com/Patreon. All of our bonus content, Thursday tier reviews, daily G1 audio, my Bash at the Beach series that I'm doing, my Goldberg series that I'm doing, the Tony Khan media call, all that other good stuff, the instant reaction, not live, and Death Before Dishonor, a ton of stuff coming up this weekend over there at FlagshipPatreon.com. But anyway, for Joe, I'm Rich. We'll talk to you next time. Take care. Bye.